Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be a co-stream commentary reaction sort of stream of the Sea of Thieves preview event for 2022. We are going live a little bit early. We're going to be debating the game, PvE, PvP, why I love the game, but why I don't play the game. If you like these kind of live discussions and back and forth, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss the content and the uploads. I am going to be ending the previous stream and redirecting people over. We discussed Dying Light 2 this morning and the roadmap and the 5-year plan. So obviously we are getting into a lot of different subjects today with the various game coverages that we try to do. So we appreciate if you subscribe and show up for the live shows, or if you just watch the past broadcasts. We greatly appreciate that, and we are going to be bringing everybody over with the live redirect. Hopefully it worked. If not, we try to give you guys that link in the previous stream and pin it at the top. We also are always sure to send out tweets when we're going live. And we appreciate people interacting with our various channels that we have. And yes, so thank you so much for being here. I am going to be polling the chat here in a moment, asking you guys about the various thing. Redirect worked this time? Okay, good. Good. Smooth Criminal, for me at least. Yeah, it seems like it worked for most of you. The view count should update in a second to indicate we had almost 300 people in that last stream, so we will probably land in the 180s, 170s. That's usually how effective the redirect is. There's also people that just don't ride the redirect. They'd prefer to not watch the next stream. A lot of times we have people that they're there for the morning, but they're not there for the afternoon. So if you're watching the past broadcast of this, you can skip ahead to when we actually officially watch it. It'll be in about an hour because we went live at noon and it goes live at 1. Right here, I've got it pulled up and ready to go. I can't. Well, hang on a second. Let me do something here. Let me do this, and let me do this, and then let me go like this. We're going. What the world? Why does it do that? Where is transform? Reset transform. It like doesn't let you crop in OBS if you've ever done anything with the source before. There we go. So we're going to be watching this in approximately 56 minutes. And I will obviously give you my own commentary and my own discussion of it when it goes live. So if you're tuning in for this, there it is, ready to go. I'm actually excited about this because let's just pull the chat. Sea of Thieves, right? Sea of Thieves gameplay. Where do you gravitate, or where would you? Let's just go. Where would / do? Where would or do you gravitate? PvE, PvP. You don't get to say both because I'm asking where you would gravitate to, all right? Sea of Thieves gameplay, where would you or do you gravitate? So if you play the game, great. If you don't play the game, where would you gravitate if you played the game? Would you gravitate towards the PvP or would you gravitate towards the PvE, right? Because I am curious. I'm really, really curious. Obviously, we have a very slanted audience here, so I know this is where this is probably going to end up. But yeah, there's a live event today. There's a preview event in Sea of Thieves. They'll be just basically talking about what their plans are for the new year. Let me get myself cropped a little bit better. There we go. Not so much space up at the top. I just want to sing sea shanties and kill skeletons and find the booty. Yes. Yeah. A lot of my frustrations with this game is that I don't get to opt out of the PvP. It's sort of thrust on, to me. Giggity thrust. But, option C, watching a couple bozos stream on Friday nights. Yeah, that's the way to do it right there. So I am curious. We like to do these polls at the top of the chat to see what you guys think, and we greatly appreciate you tuning in and joining us for today's coverage. And one of the things we like to do, especially when there are live events, is we like to cover them, react to them, and discuss them. And something that has always come up anytime we've discussed Sea of Thieves is the fact that I would like a PvE option. And I'm consistently told that it's called Sea of Thieves and it's a pirate game. And I say, yeah, I know, and I don't play. And that's one of the reasons I don't play. My argumentation on this is pretty simple. Basically, the way I look at it is there is plenty to do in the game, and so much of it has nothing to do with the PvP. I think that's one of my main frustrations. So if I were to argue about this from a design perspective, the bulk, if you think about the content loop like an engine, like the bulk of the engine is centered around touches on non-PvP content. Just you're trying to grind different factions, bounties, quests, and everything else. And so most of the game's activities just don't really center around PvP. And I actually thought that the way they did it in New World would be a great update for Sea of Thieves. That you're going to get more XP, more gold, and more rewards if you flag for PvP. And if you don't flag for PvP, then people cannot attack you. That would be sort of the way that I would do it, because then if you are a PvP-minded person, you could get an increased amount of spoils, increased XP and gold. You flag for PvP, and you go out and you play pirate life. But if I don't want to do that, that would be great. I wouldn't have to. I'd get less gold, less XP, but there you go. We actually had this idea before New World even came out. Give me 1 second. Originally, when we had this idea for Sea of Thieves, I said that you could go into PvP servers and you would get an increase in XP, gold, and progression. So there would be an incentive to go into a PvP server. And I think the way that New World does it is maybe even better, because then the world is alive and there's people in it, and there's this sense of like it's a living world and everything else. And so I would say that would be a better way to do it, is like, well, I'm gonna flag for PvP and go out and I'm gonna get way more XP, and that would make the excitement of a pirate game work. That the incentive is like, I'm going to get way more gold and XP and progress if I do this, but there's a giant risk. There's a threat of being attacked. There's people out there that are going to try to steal my stuff and come after me. And if you don't flag for PvP, that you're just kind of taking your, it's a little bit of an easy street. It's like, well, this is going to be a little bit easier, a little bit more laid back, a little bit more casual, and I'm going to make less progress. I don't see why not. Games like Red Dead have a passive option. I leave those people alone, and I only shoot at PvP players. Everyone plays in the same server, and everyone is happy. Why not in Sea of Thieves? Right. Premieres in 51 minutes. Yes, they have a premiere scheduled, so it's not a stream, it's a premiere. So that right there means they've uploaded the video already. It's not a live stream. So I bet you it's probably around a 20 to 30 minute video, maybe, or less, outlining all of the things coming, all the changes and everything else. My biggest issue with PvP in Sea of Thieves is the same as Invaders in Dark Souls 3. PvP mains don't have much to lose. That's another fundamental flaw with the design. One of the fundamental flaws with the design of PvP in Sea of Thieves is that you don't lose or risk anything. You can just boot up and PvP all night, and there's no penalty, no cost, nothing happens to you. If you lose, if the other guys, whoop you and beat you, then you don't lose anything. You just go back to port and you get a brand new boat, and there's no loss. There's no ranking loss, there's no bounty on your head, there's nothing, right? That to me is a fatal flaw in the design. If you guys are here from the stream this morning, remember, we're in a new stream, so switch to live chat, smash the like button, get us our first 100 likes. Thanks for being here. Pre-produced videos are always better, pump up that production value. Yeah, they tend to look better. They tend to look better than the live streams, usually, especially if you're trying to show off gameplay. Even the premieres, oftentimes, you can go back and rewatch them at a higher resolution. I agree with a more New World style PvP system being added than a Dark Zone one that limits your play space. Yeah, I saw somebody suggest that, like, have like Dark Zone areas you can go and duke it out in battle. I think that's really hard to do with the open seas. Like, it's one thing when you like load into the Dark Zone in Division and you got to go through a door and a load and it's a whole new area. That game still suffered from griefers. I mean, people just watching the entrances. So how are you going to get new players to come back if they just get sacked repeatedly by pirate legends? Right, it just doesn't sank. Sacked works too. There's nothing better than tucking on a ship and springing the trap at the perfect time. Well, yeah, for sure. I think the PvP elements of Sea of Thieves are actually, like, you know, I think it's good. I think it can be really entertaining and fun and intense, and there can be, like, role-playing and, like, really, really feeling like you're being a pirate or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a video game, and the last couple times, I'm not kidding you, I tried to play this game a while back, and my 3 play sessions that ended my time in Sea of Thieves was a play session with my kiddos where we were trying to do something and we finally got it done, and then on the way back we got sank. Somebody basically came and attacked us. We were literally almost done with whatever we were working on. I can't remember what it was. And then I tried to play by myself. I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the ship loaded up and ready to go. I'm going to fill it with supplies so my wife and I can play. I had 2 TVs set up. You know, she was going to play on the Xbox. I was going to play on my PC. So I had everything set up and ready to go. And I had our ship loaded up and ready to go. And somebody drove by, sunk our ship, and just kept on going. That's all. They didn't even care. Well, they didn't keep on going. They drove by. They kept going back and forth because I kept repairing the boat. I went down on the bottom of the boat and thought, okay, they'll keep on going. They're going to think that the boat is sinking. And I'll bail the water out and patch it up, and then I'll be back to normal. No, they looped back 3 or 4 times to make sure they sank my boat. I hadn't even left port yet. It was blatantly obvious my boat had just spawned, and they just sunk it to be a douche. And it wasn't like, oh, drive by, ha ha ha, get a couple shots on it. They were committed to be a douche. Like, that's the kind of people that play this game, like, long term, are people that just, they live in the grief. They cycle around the ports, the places where people spawn or have to go back and turn things in, and they just attack people for the fun of it. They don't steal your treasure. They don't steal your supplies. They just do it to be mean. And I was like, okay. So my wife comes down. I'm like, well, I had a boat ready to go for us full of supplies, and it just got sunk by some douchebags. All right, well, now let's go. So we go out way, way far out. We find some island. And it's like a crazy island. I've never seen anything like it. It's like fiery, and there's lava and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's get to work. And we spent 2 hours doing a bunch of stuff on the island. We had all these quests. We're getting all these quests done. Our boat's full of stuff. Finally, when we go to leave, it was almost as if the game sensed it. It was like, oh no, you're not allowed to have fun. You're not allowed to have fun. And as we were getting on the boat, it got bombarded by fire and brimstone, and we both died and the boat sank. I could have broke my controller in half. I was like, so 3 play sessions in a row, just not allowed to do anything. Like, I'm not allowed. You're not allowing me to do anything. Who wants to play a video game like that? Like, why would I want to play a video game that works against me for me to, like, I can't make progress, I can't have fun, I can't get anything done. I've not gone back and played it since. You failed to capture me as a player. Keep in mind that even if you have a super successful play session in Sea of Thieves, okay, you still make little to no progress. And the progress that you do make, what's it enable you to do? Make your pirate and or ship look cooler. That's it. That's all you get. So it's like, my motivation to play isn't very strong to begin with. It's relaxing. It's a fun little game. The sailing is unmatched. It's a beautiful game. The sailing in this game is unparalleled to other games. But my motivation to play isn't going to last very long if every time I try to play, the game is actively working against me getting anything done. I haven't gone back and played it since. Why on earth would I? I sat down for a nice evening with my wife, and I threw 2 hours in the toilet. We had nothing to show for it. Well, it's just the fun of playing. What are you talking about? Watching a Sea of Thieves live event to bash on it? No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm explaining why I like the game and would like to see them do a flagging for PvP option. Why I think they need to consider how many more people would come and play the game if they could come and play the game and not have to worry about having their evening ruined. I think it's an amazing game. I think their Pirates Life stuff was awesome. It really, really was. It is what it is. Sea of Thieves comes with that. Yeah, and that's why I don't play. You know what I'm saying? I don't listen. Make no bones about it. I don't sit here and try and play games and make them into something that they're not. I don't do that. I don't beat my head against the wall. I don't. I'm like, cool, this game's not for me, and I don't play it. I walk away. It's really easy. If a game's not giving me what I want, I don't play it. I don't try to beat it into submission. No, there's no way to disable PvP in this game. No. A pirate game with no pirates? That's not true. That's not true. There are plenty of pirates in the game that can attack you that aren't living players. There's ghost ships, there's skellymen on the islands, there's all kind of things that can attack you. You don't need to have zit-faced griefers that boot up the game and live near port and never do anything but sink people. That's not even being a pirate. A pirate would sink the ship, steal the treasure, and grow as a pirate. That's not what they do. It's not what they do. You can boot up right now a brand new player. Okay? A brand new player you can boot up right now. You don't need to play, level, or do anything. You can boot up right now and grief the frick out of people if you want. There's no cost. There's no penalty if you fail. You don't lose anything. You don't need anything either because everybody's on level playing field. You have the same weapons, you have the same boats, the same skills as everybody else. You can boot up right now and do that. You don't have to have any investment in the game at all. Just boot up and grief. I don't need Summit putting me in a YouTube highlight clip on a Saturday night when I'm 4 beers deep. Right. A pirate wouldn't even sink the ship. They famously capture them. Well, if you sink them, all of the treasure rises to the top because it is a video game after all. Right? They make it to where the transmission of wealth is pretty seamless. The game has been in this state for how long? Well, since it came out. Pirates aren't just villains. If you implemented a new world PvP system into this game with similar incentives, I believe the same or more people would PvP in Sea of Thieves while simultaneously pleasing the PvE only crowd. That's exactly right. If people would flock to PvP knowing they're getting tons of more rewards and tons of more XP. They would. They would 100% be like, yo, I'm flagging for PvP. Why? Well, you get way more gold, you get way more rewards, and it's intense, man. It's scary. You might get attacked. But if you don't feel like doing that, if I just want to throw back beers with the boys and want to flag for PvE, where's the harm in that? Where's the harm in being like, yeah, I don't feel like doing that tonight. I just want to kind of like sail around and not get attacked. Like it's just like invasions in other games. If you don't feel like dealing with invasions, you can shut it off because some nights you don't feel like dealing with it. As a PvP player, I want PvE players to have a passive mode. I don't take joy in sinking people who are just trying to get stuff done. Right. I just want to have an evening with my wife, throw back a couple of drinks and chill and sail and laugh and get treasure. Like, you know what I mean? And I can't do that because there's the game is laden with something that makes that very difficult. There's only 6 ships maximum allowed on a server. If half or more are not flagging for PvP, the game becomes stale. You know what else makes the game become stale? When all the people doing PvP don't give a rip about the game and they just grief and play like a bunch of degenerates. What you think? So I load into a server and there's 5 other ships. If 3 to 4 of those ships are just griefing, which that was my experience the last couple times I played. People are just literally sailing around wanting to sink people. They don't care about treasure or gold or leveling. They're not doing any of that. You think that's good for the game? How is that not stale and predictable and stupid? It's degenerate and cannibalistic. You just drive people out of the game. Thanks for stopping by. We beat the snot out of you. Come back tomorrow. No, I won't. How many people do what I did? How many people try to play, do everything they can to enjoy the game, and they're like, no, I'm out, dude. This is stupid. How does that help your game's life? Like, if you're going to do this, here's the thing. Here's the reality. PvP has to be properly incentivized or it just naturally degenerates into cannibalistic behavior, right? Naturally degenerates into cannibalistic behavior. Look at what happened in New World. I told people, I said, the PvP element, the territory control, it's going to naturally degenerate into cannibalistic behavior. And look what happened. It did. People got bored, people found exploits, people obliterated the maps, and what happened? People quit, people left, people transferred servers. Why? Because it cannibalized itself. So if you want to properly incentivize PvP, go for it. Give people a reason to do it. Well, I'm going to flag for PvP. I'm going to get way more gold, way more experience, right? And, you know, it's dangerous out there. And then your griefers and your PvPers could be out there trying to ruin people's evenings, and people know what they're signing up for. They know what they're signing up for. It sounds like an incentivization problem. Yeah, like, there's no reason to PvP, so people just do it just to be a jerk. There's no reason to do it. You don't get anything for it. You don't get more gold or more XP. So if you're going to PvP, what are you going to do? You're going to empty your ship. You're going to have nothing of value on it. No quests, no quest progress. You're just going to go out and sink people. And you're not going to bother stealing their stuff, because why? Well, because then you're going to get invested and have stuff on your ship, and then somebody else will sink you and steal it. So what you end up doing is you end up basically doing the exact opposite of what the game is designed to do. Go get stuff, do stuff, and level up your pirate ship. Well, nobody's doing that if they're playing PvP, because who wants to lose all their stuff? Or they just wait for you to finish all the hard work, and then they quickly steal it and take it back. That certainly does happen. They show up and you're filling your ship full of stuff because you finished one of the, what are they, they're called raids or something, aren't they? I've closed Sea of Thieves several times, getting spanked by a whole team and losing hours of quests and loot progress, ending my sessions with 0 progress. It's one of the worst gaming experiences ever. Yeah, it's awful. The only thing they've updated is you can acquire gold even if you don't progress the quest. Or the quest progresses either way, and you can like take gold out of the chests and stuff. So you do get some progress, but it's significantly less since you didn't take anything back. I've never tried Sea of Thieves, as I've only ever seen about the game is the griefing, even from streamers on Purple. Hard pass. You want to attack someone? Okay, here's the risk to you. You defend yourself from an attack, here's the reward. Yeah, it's very lopsided from the perspective of incentive. It's very lopsided because you can just boot up and be a PvPer all evening, and you can be terrible at it, and there's no punishment. You don't really lose anything. All you did was annoy people all evening. Almost 16,000 players in the last 24 hours on Steam. I'm surprised it's that high. Yeah, I bet you a lot of people play on console. I bet you a lot of people play this on console. Because of Game Pass. Sea of Thieves Steam charts. Yeah, they had a 16,000 player peak in the last 24 hours. Yeah. They average anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 players player peaks a day. So that your peak players they've actually done very well, it seems. And more than likely, the player-based behavior is mimicked on the consoles. Xbox is the vast population? Yeah. And Game Pass PC, yeah. You know what pirates had for attacking ships? Bounties on their head. Yeah, like, it should make it hard for you if you've attacked a couple of ships. Like, it should make it hard for you. You should, let's scuttle our ship and do it again. If there was no reason to do it, people wouldn't do it. The appropriate reaction is learning to actually defend yourself, I think. Someone whoops me, it makes me want to be good like them. Yeah, I don't think you're necessarily grappling with the reality of what players do to games. Right? I don't think you're grappling with what players do. Players naturally delve and devolve into degenerate cannibalistic behavior because they get bored. So they just grief. They just go in and destroy because why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you? I mean, you see what I'm saying? People just get bored. There's a lack of reason to really do anything. It's like, well, why would I care about doing PvE and quests and gold? Why would I care about any of that? There's no real reason to do it. You just get cosmetics. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to boot up and just sink people's ships and make them angry. Steam didn't have Sea of Thieves for a long while. That's true. You're generalizing. So are you. So who's got a stronger argument? Like, your entire statement was a generalization. I mean, I even said, in general, full disclosure, that means I'm generalizing. In general, gaming communities, over time, as they get bored, their behavior degenerates into cannibalistic behavior. Look at any PvP game in existence. What ends up happening? Well, the more experienced players, the more veteran players, they tend to play the game in a degenerate, cannibalistic, destructive way. Why? They're bored. They don't have proper incentivization to do anything else. Sounds like it's your opinion. Shut up, Abe. He's missing the point. Grievers have zero risk versus the one risking all of his gameplay of the afternoon. Yeah, I'm taking all the risk. There's zero risk in attacking. There needs to be a penalty for attacking and losing. Yeah, like, I take all the risk. If I boot up and play with my wife like I did that evening, I'm taking all of the risk on my shoulders. If this doesn't go our way, we lose everything. Right? And the griefers, they don't have any risk of loss at all. Like, they don't, you know. My entire statement was my opinion and my experience. You're attempting to describe every player that plays PvP games. No, I'm not. Now you're misrepresenting my argument, which is an underhanded way to have a discussion. I said, in general, player bases devolve and degenerate into degenerate cannibalistic behavior. That's not every PvP player. That's not every PvP game. That is a reality. Look at any game after a long time that it's been out. The remaining player base, if not properly incentivized, will get bored and turn on the game and play in degenerate cannibalistic ways. They'll look for exploits. They'll go into areas where they can stomp. If they're not given a reason to really express their skill and be properly rewarded for it, they'll go down into the lower skilled areas and they'll smurf, or they'll try to make montages. Like, this is a traceable trend in PvP games. This isn't something that like the burden of proof is not on me. The proof is there. You can look at any game in existence that has PvP, and these are things that they all deal with. They all deal with as the game's life cycle continues. As the game goes and it extends and goes out, eventually that's what the player base starts to do. That's not every PvP player, and that's not every PvP game. It's a trend in PvP games and player bases. So Sea of Thieves has been out for 4 years. What do you think most of the remaining players are doing? Like, you think it's a coincidence that the last couple times I've booted up the game, I've gotten griefed? Somebody just hanging out, sinking ships, somebody making sure to go and look for somebody mid-progress and sinks them and then just leaves. They don't even get the treasure. Why do only a quarter of the votes prefer PvP? Well, this audience has been around for a long time and they naturally gravitate towards PvE. So the poll's not necessarily indicative of gamers at large. It's indicative of the audience that's here. You say 4 ships on your server are griefers? I was giving an example. I didn't say that the 4 ships were griefers. He gave an example. He said if there's only 6 ships on a server and you have most people flagging for PvE, he said the game goes stale. I said, well, what about when I boot up now and there's six ships on the server and the majority of them are griefing? I was pushing back on his example with an example of my own. You're not very good at argumentation. You're very gifted at misrepresenting my position. The poll can't describe the game as a whole. Yeah, people always do this. It's the gamer society. The beat down the weaker player. The game goes on in so many games. Yeah, it goes on in so many games. It's exactly, yeah. There are massive differences between the install sizes between the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Why? Solo Sea of Thieves is best because you get ignored most of the time. Akuta Papa, you're talking in the wrong channel. You're talking in way down in general chat. You got to come with the live stream chat. 4 ships griefing in a server is not far-fetched in the slightest. That's all people do in the game now. They have nothing else left in the game to do. Yep, Kraken compression. Look it up. Compression. So which platform has better compression, the PS5 or the Series X? Get better and you won't suffer so much. Go play a single-player game. People like you are amusing. I'm supposed to get better. Yeah. I booted up the game and was loading my ship full of supplies while I waited for my wife to come downstairs. She was putting our kids to bed. And while I was doing that, someone went by my ship 6 to 7 times and eventually sank it. I was doing everything I could to repair the ship underneath to keep it from being sunk. You're right. I should just get better. You're right. Please quit the game. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. You are... I hate to say this, you're stupid. You're not paying attention. I literally said that the last couple times I played this game, those were the bad experiences I had, and I stopped playing. And I'm postulating that lots more people would come back to the game if there was the ability to play and not flag for PvP. Or I could flag for PvP and get way more experience, gold, and progress. You're just too stupid to understand the point that I'm making because you're more busy grinding your axe and defending the game and being a nuisance in the chat. You've not once grappled with one of my points intellectually or intelligently. Now you're just dismissing me and telling me to get good. You don't have the ability to argue a point because you've merely attempted to misrepresent my points, I think 3 or 4 times now. And after I'm done dismantling the fact that you've done that, you tell me to just get good. I'm sorry you lack the ability to make a coherent point or have an intelligent conversation, but getting good isn't a solution to a problem. I've just stopped playing. I wanted to play the game with my wife and enjoy an evening and sit back and relax, and I wasn't able to do that. And so I don't play it. It's that simple. Or don't be a baby, it's a you problem, not the game. We have another intellectual genius in the chat now, ad hominem, attacking me, calling me a baby, really reaching for the stars of intellectual prowess and argumentation. Ad hominem is attacking the person and not their argument. I am merely arguing from my position that I would enjoy the game and play it if it had this option in it, as would many people. There would be many people that would play this game if it was PvE, if there was a PvE option. Do you think this discussion is lively and contributed to over the course of the 4 years of the game's life because what? Like, because people are babies and they won't? No, it's because people want to play a video game. Typical bad at games, so the game is broken, whiny nonsense. Yeah, so what you're doing now is you're just being insulting combined with your own stupidity, which makes you unpleasant. So a stupid person who can't argue, who stoops to insults, isn't welcome here. So go somewhere else and I don't know, grind your Sea of Thieves axe somewhere else, because you're not welcome here. You're not welcome here. It wouldn't hurt anything for people to be able to boot up and play a video game. It's supposed to be a video game. Well, get good, you baby. No, I just won't play your video game. It's that simple. Like, I'm basically telling you, I would come eat at your restaurant if you had a vegan option. And you're like, well, just get better at eating steak, baby. Well, no, I'm not a patron of your restaurant. I'm saying that I would become a patron of your restaurant if you gave me this menu option. Well, suck it up, cupcake. Your response is illogical and nonsensical. I'm saying, hey man, I'd come play your game if I didn't have to flag for PvP. Well, get good, scrub. The game is literally called Sea of Thieves. Just get good. This convo is super similar to Soul's easy mode. Right. And I'm not saying that they should change the identity of the game. There's still plenty of ways for you to lose all your stuff. When my wife and I were playing, the island blew our boat up. Like, well, our island blew the boat up. You know what I mean? There's plenty of ways to still lose your stuff. And a flagging for PvP option would be great because you would have an incentive. There would be some nights I would do that. There'd be some nights I would do that. I would be like, all right, I'm going to flag for PvP. Let's me and the boys get some progress here. Let's go. Let's get some treasure. Let's get some XP. We get like double or triple gold and XP if we're flagged for PvP. You think there wouldn't be a ton of people playing PvP if you got way more experience in gold? As a PvP player, you would think you'd be in favor of what I'm saying. If you're so good at the game, if you're so skilled at Sea of Thieves, you would be applauding my suggestion, but instead you're just being a belligerent, gatekeeping jerk. Like, well, get good. Well, if you're so good at the game, you would love my suggestion, because you could flag for PvP and flex all your Sea of Thieves muscle, and you'd make a ton of more money, XP, and progress. Since you're so good at Sea of Thieves, a cartoony pirate game. Like, seriously, you would like my suggestion, because you'd get more stuff. You want them to change their whole game design because you can't handle PvP? Get good and stop whining? Another moron in chat that can't grapple with argumentation points. You're just an idiot. You're not entertaining what I'm talking about. I didn't say I can't handle PvP. I don't like it. I can play PvP just fine, but that's not why I boot up the game. So you know what I do? I don't play. It's that simple. Gonna fragment the player base? No, it wouldn't. No, it would not. If you flag for PvP and you go out and make way more money and way more experience, there'd be tons of people on the lookout for you. Why? Because they want to take your stuff. Why? You're getting more of it. You're a more ripe pick if you're out there flagged for PvP. You would probably see more people doing PvP. Why? Because you get more stuff. It's a pirate game after all. You give people an incentive to do it. So don't play. It's not the game for you. Another genius who's just coming into the chat and screaming the same thing the last guy said. I'm telling you, I don't play. Were you not here 30 seconds ago, or are you just back in here on an alt? I'm telling you, I would become a patron of your restaurant if you added this menu option. Well, then don't eat here. Well, what do you mean? I don't play your game. I don't play Sea of Thieves. I like it. I think it's a beautiful game. I think it's some of the most relaxing sailing you could ever do. But I don't play. Why? Because there's no PvE option. You're literally telling me to do the thing I'm doing, you moron. I literally am telling you, like, listen, I think you got a nice place here. I think you got a nice wait staff. I think you got a nice restaurant. I'd be a patron of your restaurant if you added this option to your menu. Well, get good, bro. What? That doesn't have anything to do with what I just said. Well, just don't eat here. I don't eat here right now. I'm not a patron of your restaurant. You're not listening to what I'm saying. Like, I'm not. I would be. All you have to do is add this option. And if they don't add the option, I'll just continue to not play. And I'll live a very happy life not playing it. I don't need Sea of Thieves in my life. There's many other video games I enjoy playing. Right? Why do you not do PvP, or what's the issue? Just saying I don't like PvP is dumb? It's not dumb. It's my opinion. You're dumb. What? Just saying I don't like PvP is dumb? Do you like broccoli on your pizza? No, I don't like broccoli on my pizza. Well, what's the issue? Just saying I don't like broccoli on my pizza is dumb. What are you talking about? It's an opinion. You probably have things that you like and don't like. If you told me that you don't like a certain game, well, why? That's just dumb. But why don't you like it? Because I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I don't find it fun. It's that simple. I don't find it fun. I don't like fighting games and sports games. Why? But they're not fun. But there's not much more to it than that. If I hand you a drink and it's a mixed drink and you take a swig of it and you're like, I don't like that. Why? I don't know. I just don't like it. Well, that's dumb. You don't have any particular reasons as to why you don't like it? Well, it doesn't taste very good. Yes, but why doesn't it taste good? I don't know. It's bitter. But more. I need more. It just isn't fun. I played Call of Duty and Quake 3 and Quake 2 for, I don't know, 10 to 15 years. I've had my fill of it. I don't have fun now when I play PvP games. I just don't. I like to play them casually with my buds or shoutcast them, but I don't generally have fun when I play a PvP game. I just get annoyed. So Sea of Thieves PvP is not fun. I agree with you because the gameplay is crap. I actually think Sea of Thieves PvP can be fun, but I don't enjoy it. I'm not saying that it can't be fun. I'm saying I don't enjoy it. Like, it's fun to pick on people in the game. I'm not going to lie. If you spend an evening messing with people and getting on their boat and sinking their boat and messing with them in the high seas, that can be pretty fun. But it's not fun for very long, in my opinion. I like to make progress in a game. That's what I like. I like to make progress. I like to play a game and get stuff done. I've played Sea of Thieves, PvP oriented with other guys, and sunk a bunch of boats and killed a bunch of dudes and had a really good time. But that gets boring pretty quickly, and then it's like, okay, well, now I want to work on progressing and getting stuff or leveling or getting money or whatever. And having that progress constantly halted, it's just like, well, I'm not going to play this game. Imagine playing an RPG where that was like your regular experience. They're like, all right, come in, boys and girls. Here's your quests. This will get you to level 5. And when you're level 5, you'll have more skill points and things you can do. And you're like, this sounds pretty good. And you play for 2 hours. And on your way back to town, all of a sudden, a dinosaur appears. And it eats you. And you get no progress. And they're like, ho, you got to be careful. After all, the name of the game is Dinosaur World, and that means there's dinosaurs out there. Are you going to come back and play again tomorrow? No, I'm not going to come back again and play tomorrow. I don't have anything to show for my time. Why would I don't want to play this again. I just randomly lose all my stuff. Well, you got to get good. Got to learn how to fight that T-Rex. I don't want to. I don't want to. It's rare to get attacked by another ship. Every time we played, we had people messing with us. I don't know. Most of us PvP players do that. The vast majority aren't out there just sinking parked fresh boats. We're out sinking Reapers and Emissary flagged boats, taking their stuff and turning it in. I don't know what to tell you. Listen, I don't need Sea of Thieves to bend to my will. It's been out for 4 years. It's been out for 4 years, and myself and many other people have consistently said, man, if you just gave us a PvE option, we'd be thrilled. Like when Pirate's Life was advertised, did you not see the celebrations in the community and articles and on Twitter? All those people saying, oh, I can do the Pirate's Life stuff and it's its own instance and I'm by myself, I'm not going to get attacked by people. And a lot of people came back and enjoyed Pirate's Life. Now, some of the parts of Pirate's Life, when you had to like go out to the sea and dive way down and do stuff, then people could mess with you. Sure. But there was a large portion of Pirate's Life that was instanced and you didn't have to worry about being attacked. And tons of people were really excited about that. They wanted to come play a pirate video game and not have some, zit-faced griefer ruin their evening. If you can't handle playing for hours and getting screwed by other ships, then the game's not for you. Yeah, you're telling me something I've already concluded. I don't understand. I played for 4 hours, had everything stolen, but it was some of the most fun for zero progress. We are not cut from the same cloth. I cannot imagine saying that sentence. Dude, I played for 4 hours, had everything stolen, zero progress. It was a frickin' blast. Like, with respect, you sound like a crazy person to me. That's how different you are from me. You sound like a crazy person. Dude, it was awesome. I made no progress. It was great, bro. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to throw 4 hours in the toilet. It's going to be great. You know what I like to do in an RPG? Oh, it's amazing, bro. I put in 4 hours, get leveled up, and then I delete my character. It's great. I come back the next day, no progress. It's so dope. I don't get that at all. It makes no sense to my brain. I am way too busy to feed a game 2 hours for nothing. I've got too many things to do in my life. Video games don't need progression to be fun, though. I mean, that's your opinion. My opinion is progression enhances and adds to the fun in a significant way. That's why progression is in virtually every video game out there. You can play a dadgum mobile game now, and there's progression and levels and advancement. Why? It creates a sense of loyalty. It tethers your sense of achievement and accomplishment to the game, so you want to come back the next game and play some more. The hit reg, though, it's laggy and hit registration issues. I've never even got into those debates because I've not played it that much. I always end up getting annoyed. There was a Kraken, bunch of ships. It was crazy. Lost everything, but it went down. Well, okay, King Trot. Let's be fair, though. You just had this big, giant, crazy, dynamic experience. But if every time you booted up the game that happened, I think the fun factor would go down, would it not? Like, sure, once in a blue moon, having a crazy wild night where you get attacked by a ghost ship and then attacked by the Kraken and then this happened and that happened. Sure, you might write that off as like, we didn't have a lot of progress tonight, but man, that was fun. That was a blast. But if that happened every night, come on. You can't tell me with a straight face that, oh yeah, I'm doing that every night, bro. Zero progress is my motto. No. Sure, you had a wild and crazy night. It was an experience. But every night, the first couple times Hilly and I played, we didn't make a lot of progress, and we laughed it off. But then, the second or third time we played, I was like, I'm sick of this, bro. We're not doing anything. We're not getting any progression. You even had to shoot the most pigs and chickens 2 to 3 times because of it. The hit reg. Yeah. The hit reg can be a little bad, for sure. Okay, so we got into a bit of a debate. I anticipated that. No hard feelings to the people that love this game and you love the PvP. I don't dislike you. We only kicked the people out that were being rude. You can come in and disagree with me as much as you want. There's a handful of people here that have disagreed with me, and they're still in chat because they weren't rude and insulting. How is it different than Returnal? People played for hours and lost everything having to start over. That's a loop. Homie, no. That's called a false equivalency. Sea of Thieves is not a rogue. Returnal is a rogue. When you play a rogue, you know that you're buying a game that's what happens. That's a mechanic in the game. This game is not a rogue. Your player and your progress and your coins and everything else persists. If you're new and you've never been here before, typically we are in this scene here doing a lively talk show full of debates, discussion, disagreements. You are welcome to come in here and tell me that I am wrong. You are not welcome to come in here and insult me. So that's why those two guys got bounced. I think it was the same guy on an alt. We are a safe for work channel. You will notice no matter how riled up and passionate I got, I'm not sitting here cursing and swearing. A lot of people treat me like a video game radio show. They throw me on in the background. The Sea of Thieves preview event goes live in 10 minutes. One of the reasons I've been passionately debating about a PvE option is I actually really, really like this game. I just can't stomach the sense of PvP threat all the time. You 100% progress in Returnal? Okay, please don't lecture me on Returnal. You know what I'm saying. There's a giant difference between a persistent character that has XP and points and leveling and a rogue. The reset mechanic in Rogue isn't the same as getting griefed or attacked in Sea of Thieves. It's a false equivalency. So, like, yes, you die and restart in Returnal, but that's not the same as Sea of Thieves. One's a rogue, and that's a mechanic of the game. You do progress in Returnal. You do have things in Returnal that persist, but the game itself, it's functioning. It's functioning as that's how it works. That's not necessarily how Sea of Thieves works. You could play Sea of Thieves and die numerous times, and you don't lose anything. It depends on when you die. You could play Sea of Thieves for 3.5 hours, get everything turned in, set back out to sea, and then you die. You don't lose anything. Because it's not a rogue. You don't even really lose everything in Returnal. Again, it's different. It's a false equivalency. You're comparing two games that you really can't compare because of the very nature of how they're built. And in Returnal, you die and restart because of your own actions, which you can control, not from others like in Sea of Thieves. There's a difference. I agree with you to a certain extent. To try and gain and retain players, it just makes me nervous to disrupt the game. Stu, I don't want this game to become something that it's not. I never want a game to change itself for me, but I think the ability to flag for PvP or not flag for PvP would create a proper incentivization balance as well as a risk-reward element for people who choose to do PvP. I believe there is a design dissonance in the game right now. You can boot up and do PvP and there is zero risk. You boot up and when you try to focus on PvE, you take all of the risk. I think that is a dissonance in the game. That doesn't make sense. If you're going to boot up in PvP, there should be a risk involved. And I think my idea respects the spirit of the game, the identity of the game. It adds an extra layer of reward for people who are good at PvP. All these people telling me to get good, if you're so good at PvP, my idea would be great for you. You'd make a ton of progress and money. You would. Like, what's the problem? I just want the ability to boot up and be like, yeah, not for me. I don't want to do that tonight. I don't want to have people messing with me. Explain the idea once more. In order to do PvP, you would have to flag for it. And the reason that you would flag for it is you would grab missions and quests, and when flagged for PvP, you get like 2 to 3 times more money and experience and progress. So there's an incentive to do it, and now there is an inherent risk if you fail. And if you don't flag for PvP, you understand that you're getting way less money, XP, and progress. You're not being respectful when you call people who PvP zit-faced griefers. Oh, take your sanctimonious pseudo-moralism and shove it. That's not what I was saying. I didn't say people who PvP are zit-faced griefers. Don't put frickin' words in my mouth. That's not what I said. No. I was referring to people who grief. There are people who grief. They boot up and that's all they want to do. They just circle the areas where they know people spawn and they sink your ship before you do anything. That's a zit-faced griefer. You're not being respectful. I don't give a frick. Griefing is a degenerate way of playing video games. You don't even like the game. You just like griefing. And to me, you're a zit-faced griefer. Go do something with your life. What the frick are you doing? people that boot these games up and that's all they do. I have friends that do that, and you know what? Yeah, you're a zit-faced griefer. Get out of here. That's such a degenerate way to play. That's cannibalistic. Get a life. Not people who PvP. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that every person who PvPs does that. I'm saying the people that do that, they grief. Come on, you're going to sit here and pretend that that's not what people do in Sea of Thieves a significant amount of the time? Yeah, I would say with a grin on my face, if Summit griefs me, I'd be like, you zit-faced griefer, get the frick out of here. Who is this guy talking? I'm the one telling you how it is. I'm the host of the show. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm the host of the show. You're on SNTR Gaming, and we're about to watch the Sea of Thieves preview event. We're having a debate about PvP in Sea of Thieves. Summit's a griefer. I don't know if he's a griefer. He was booting up and doing PvP like crazy. I'm being like jovial and joking. I'm not being dead serious. Well, I don't know, man. I've never seen you before. Well, I cover all sorts of different games. I cover, this morning we covered Dying Light 2, and yesterday we covered Horizon Forbidden West and Elden Ring. So it's a live gaming talk show where we cover video game news, video game segments, or in this case, a premiere live event for Sea of Thieves. Funny enough, I actually like Sea of Thieves quite a bit, but I don't play it because the last couple times I tried to play it, I just kept getting griefed and frustrated. And I was like, I'm not playing a game that does this. So I'm not asking the game to change itself for me. I'm merely saying, if you were to do this, I'd play your game, right? If you were to make this one change, right? I'd play your game. That's all I'm saying. I'm not out here campaigning for this game to change, like the people who ask for like an easy mode in From Software games. No. I'm not creating an imperative. Oh, they should, or they better, or they ought, or oh, it's not very accessible or welcoming. No, I'm simply saying, listen, man, this is the kind of player that I am. If you added this feature, I'd play the heck out of your game. But since it doesn't have that feature, I don't play your game. It's that simple. You know? It's that simple. People just get very, very triggered when you talk about a game with any sense of like criticism, I guess. Like, I think at a design level, the PvP, PvE incentivization balance in the game, I think, is significantly imbalanced in Sea of Thieves, because you can boot up and spend the entire evening doing PvP at no risk of loss. And if I boot up and I focus on PvE, I have a significant amount of loss and risk. My entire evening can be ruined by a couple of people. So I think at a design level, they could change some of the elements of PvP incentivization and PvE incentivization, and I think it would be a better game for it. It'd be a more balanced game. You would likely have more people come and play, right? You'd have more people come and play. Not only would you have more people come and play, I actually think you'd have more people doing PvP if they got a really, really strong reward incentive to flag for PvP and grab quests to go out and do it. If they want a healthy game, they should create a healthy environment for both people who want a PvP and people who do not. The actual PvP mode was made so there's a place for the purely PvP player. There are so little amount of people who grief. You're acting like 90% of the player base is griefing. I'm not acting like anything. I'm telling you my experience and why I stopped playing. I'm not acting like the whole community grieves. I've tried to play the game numerous times with my buddy on Friday nights having drinks, with my kids, and with my wife. And every time it was not a great experience. Why? Because players mess with us. That's my experience. I'm not sitting here disparaging the Sea of Thieves community. I've not once said that. I said there's griefers in the game, and when you run into them, it really makes it hard to come back the next day. And plenty of people in chat have said, I get griefed all the time when I play. Like, I don't want to give people the impression like I'm sitting here like bad-mouthing the community. That wasn't my intention at all. I'm simply giving you my experience. Here's my experience with the game. Here's how much I like the game. Man, oh man, if I could avoid this, I'd be playing this game, you know, more regularly. All right, it's gonna suddenly flip on. I'll make sure I shut my music off and give you guys some music. It might need to refresh. Sometimes you have to like refresh the page. Oh, there it goes. As I hit the refresh button. That wonderful countdown music. Here, I'll make myself smaller. Just say it. You hate pirates. Yeah. Yeah, I like the way Eugene's phrasing it. I wouldn't want them to remove the forced PvP. I would want them to properly balance the risk and reward of the stress they put on the player, though. The stress can be fun if properly managed. I think that's part of my frustration is I want to know if somebody's attacking me like they're actually taking a bunch of risk. They're way less likely to pick on some small boat just coming out of port if there's a ton of risk involved. But there's no risks, they just do it for the fun of it.
Hello, and welcome to the Sea of Thieves 2022 preview event, where we're going to give you a first look at some of the new and exciting things coming to Sea of Thieves this year. We're going to be hearing from some of the members of the team here at Rare as they take you through our ambitious new plans for telling stories within the Sea of Thieves and how we plan to make the seas feel more alive than ever. So stick around as we plot out the epic voyages ahead and delve deep into what's in store for Sea of Thieves in 2022.
Hello everyone. It's incredible to say that Sea of Thieves is bigger than ever. We've had over 25 million players play the game, and we recently announced that over 5 million players have purchased the game on Steam.
We started with the launch of Seasons back in January, which seems like such a long time ago now, and then went through to June where we revealed A Pirate's Life and released that into our world. And it was such a great moment for us as a development team to keep it secret, to keep it a real surprise, to be able to introduce those characters and those stories into our world, and for it to just be so seamless and such a magical moment.
We added new creatures and enemies for you to encounter in the Sea of Thieves world, like the Phantoms, these new characters that have crossed over from the spectral realm of the Sea of the Damned, crustacean-like ocean crawlers, each with new abilities, and of course, the shadowy sirens from the underwater world of the Sunken Kingdom. And players got to experience the Sunken Kingdom for themselves, diving down deep below the waves, exploring these mysterious siren shrines, each with their own look, identity, and mysteries to unravel.
And then with Season 5, we had our Tools Not Rules update, where we introduced so many different mechanics that have just really kind of enriched the whole sandbox. And we've seen so many great stories from all of our players with everything that we introduced with that. You know, what that means is really that Sea of Thieves has never been in a better place. And we think there's a real opportunity to do things differently as we move forward.
Seasons have been an incredible framework for us in which to add new experiences and content to Sea of Thieves. And alongside that, we've been running numerous live events throughout the year. With all that said, we still feel like there's something missing. We want to make the Sea of Thieves world feel like a richer, more dynamic place where every time you play, there's always something new to discover and new adventures to embark upon. So we're going to be evolving and expanding how we update the game. So alongside seasons as they are now, we're introducing 2 new ways that we'll be updating the game: adventures and mysteries. So firstly, adventures are story-driven live events. And these are released on a regular basis of 1 per month, typically lasting around 2 weeks. Crucially, adventures are a chapter in an overarching story that's unfolding within Sea of Thieves.
Adventures will be more cinematic, and it will be a chance for players to immerse themselves in the world and the story of Sea of Thieves more, and have more of an emotional attachment to the characters in Sea of Thieves.
We want to appeal to players' hearts, get them to care about these places, get them to care about these characters, because when they are put in situations of trouble, players will feel compelled to act. You'll want to help out, you'll want to save them.
We want to make players feel like they're part of this story, basically. It's happening to the existing world, which has been really good from an environment point of view, because we're touching areas that haven't been touched in a long time. Things are changing and things are happening within the world. It kind of makes it feel alive.
Part of the way that we'll be telling this story is through ongoing cinematic lore trailers, the first of which you'll see later in this preview event. Each season also features a special adventure, a finale, that brings several story elements to a thrilling conclusion before the story then moves on in a new direction. And crucially, in key adventures, the community were responsible for the outcome of that story. Based on their actions and the choice they side with, the outcome of that story will be changed, and the world will change forever, and that will become part of the ongoing storyline for Sea of Thieves. This is very much about players being at the heart of our ongoing storytelling in Sea of Thieves, and being responsible for moving the world forwards.
So mysteries are also something that we're super excited about. So these are going to be stories that players are going to have to work together to uncover. And this will happen kind of in-game and out of game in terms of clues being released, and that they will evolve kind of over a longer time period than a typical adventure will, because we're going to be kind of, teasing and hinting and looking at how people are solving this. Are people figuring this stuff out? When's the right time to move this forward? But based on players really uncovering the kind of next stages of these mysteries. We've already seen little bits of this with some of the little stuff we've done in the past, like the runes and things, but this is going to be taking that to another level entirely.
We've been looking at other media, we've been looking at films, we've been looking at episodic TV, we've been looking at books and how they can tell compelling mysteries over time. And we've really been inspired by those. And we see certain genres fitting really well in terms of mystery telling. So you've got murder mysteries, whodunits, ghost stories. Certainly take inspiration from those kind of mysteries in other media.
I can't say too much about the stories we're going to expect from mysteries, but I will say this. The first mystery is going to be involving players solving the murder of a well-known character in Sea of Thieves, so it's really exciting.
We've heard the feedback about our previous live events, and for us, this is about making them a key part of the ongoing Sea of Thieves story. The best way to think about it is that seasons and the content within is now going to be explained by part of this story. The adventures and the mystery collectively form the ongoing Sea of Thieves storyline, with players at the heart of that unfolding narrative.
Seasons run every 3 months roughly, and they introduce new mechanics, progression, new rewards, new Pirate Emporium, new Plunder Pass, and the Emissary Ledgers are reset. So Season 6, which kicks off in March, introduces a new mini-raid experience, which is introduced by the way of sea forts.
There'll be 6 sea forts around the Sea of Thieves, and in the sea forts, players will be able to battle phantoms and sea fort captains in order to unlock the treasury and all the rewards inside.
Unlike the forts that already exist in the game, which are there to bring multiple crews together, sea forts are there to provide a more personal experience. So if you're playing by yourself or if you're playing with your crew and you can see a sea fort active, you're not necessarily going to shy away from it. You know, as a challenge, it will be pitched towards you.
So these forts are brought through from memories from Sea of the Damned. So it's going to be really nice to see that again, because it's a big breakaway from what you're used to in Sea of Thieves, where everything's a bit more ramshackled and wooden and brought about from shipwrecks and such.
And there's 3 different types that we'll see in different seas. So in the wilds, there's prison-themed forts. These ones kind of are really gloomy and they have a lot of kind of chains and cages. That's been really cool from a storytelling point of view. We have really overgrown, abandoned forts. They've just been reclaimed by nature, basically. So they're completely overgrown, they're crumbling, and they've been ransacked. And then we've got the more kind of standard Spanish forts that you would expect to see directly from the Sea of the Damned.
When we're making these forts, we have to make good considerations into the playable space. We want it to look really well decorated, yet at the same time be functional as a playable area. So we've got lots of open space. There's quite a few choke points as well, so players can use that to their advantage and, stack up those phantoms and really, make use of your local environment to have the upper edge.
And then we'll use more kind of detail and concentrate the dressing in between these areas, which is kind of like a breadcrumbing technique to bring players from one area to the next, which means that they don't get lost easily. It still keeps the environment interesting while ensuring that they can still navigate properly and fight.
Ultimately, the reason why these sea forts, these naval stone sea forts, have found their way from the Sea of the Damned into the Sea of Thieves will be explained as part of our overarching story that's going to unfold throughout the rest of the year.
We're also going to be introducing new Pirate Legend voyages, which are replayable, that will be different every time. They have a mix of challenges in there, so players can replay them as often as they like, and it will be something fresh and exciting each time.
Whether that's using new maps to uncover treasures, diving into the depths to explore shipwreck graveyards, or exploring onto haunted islands. Again, this is a big element of the ongoing grand story that we're going to be telling throughout 2022, with Pirate Legend being responsible for this part of the story.
I think the big thing about adventures and mysteries coming into the game is being able to, at regular cadence, push the story forward, pushing characters and their storylines, their narrative forward, pushing the state of the world forward based on where the story is going, based on what players are doing within the story to push that narrative forward. It should help to make the world feel far more dynamic.
But alongside all of these amazing things that we're going to be introducing to the Sea of Thieves, we also know that there are questions, there is feedback that we have around certain areas of the existing game. Hit registration, which we know is an ongoing kind of question and concern, spawn camping or the solo experience, or even kind of lost data and lost progress when we have moments of issues with our live service. And so we're going to be doing a Sea of Thieves podcast specifically to talk about the kind of main hot topics that are ongoing as part of the Sea of Thieves community. So that's going to be coming up fairly soon. I think we'll have a date hopefully running across the screen right now. But we really want to take the time to talk about that in depth and at length.
So with our ambitious plans for the future, we are as committed as ever to make adventure the best experience it can possibly be. The goal with all of this is to make the Sea of Thieves feel like an ever-evolving, dynamic place where there's always secrets to discover, new experiences to have, and new adventures to embark upon. We're so excited and we're more ambitious than ever for our plans throughout this year and beyond for adventure.
So in order to make the adventure mode as magical as it can be, we've had to reassess where we're going to be spending our time as we look forward.
Part of that is redirecting our development efforts from elsewhere to ensuring that we're making the improvements that matter to adventure. So as a result of this, and with our plans in mind for the future, we've made the difficult decision to close Arena in Sea of Thieves, and it will be closing during Season 6.
It's pretty clear to us that majority of our players love to spend their time in adventure, and that comes across in the kind of data and the time spent in Arena itself. It's about 2% of our overall playtime is spent in Arena, with the rest being spent in adventure. So ultimately, it's pretty clear to us where the majority of our community, the majority of our players want us to spend our development time. And that is continuing to enrich the world of adventure, continuing to deliver amazing stories and moments and mechanics to our ever-growing community.
We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our incredibly passionate Arena community for showcasing that part of Sea of Thieves, and we thank you for all your support on the journey so far. You'll be able to read more about this on our website, but Let me just
Man,
say again, this has been
I'm so surprised that a PvP-focused thing called Arena got 2% engagement and is getting cut. Shocker.
And that we're directing all of our efforts towards making the game as unique and special as possible.
Smash the like button, chat.
So
I might know what I'm
following
talking
the
about.
events of a pirate's life, with that mysterious castaway coming to the Sea of Thieves world and opening a way to the Sea of the Damned, allowing pirates to adventure inside, this has been seen by all of our major characters in the Sea of Thieves world. And in many ways, this has started a magical arms race between the forces of a renewed Captain Flameheart and the Pirate Lord himself. The nefarious forces that wish to do evil in the Sea of Thieves, they seek to control the Sea of the Damned, to destroy the veil between these two pirate worlds and to bring them together. So let's take a first look at the cinematic trailer for our first adventure, Shrouded Islands.
Guys, smash the like button if you'd enjoyed the coverage today. We're going to break this down after the fact.
The Sea of Thieves is a wondrous place where there are always new stories to tell. But like the turning of the tide, all of that could change. I can feel it in my bones. Evil is stirring. The Sea of Thieves is once again under threat. Flameheart seeks to regain his power.
The
We must
chat
do
is saying
all that
save
we
the
can
crab.
to weather this storm. Only together can we protect what we all hold dear.
Are you done? Sit down, Ramsay. I'll handle this.
Man, second half of February is getting real full, chat.
So our first adventure, Shrouded Islands, is coming to Sea of Thieves February 17th, and is just the start of a bigger, grander story that we're introducing to Sea of Thieves as part of this. And to show you why we're so excited, we're going to take a close look now at our first adventure, Shrouded Islands.
So as you saw there in our cinematic trailer, Shrouded Islands centres on golden sands and this mysterious fog that has rolled in. Players will be able to explore and abandon golden sands, learning more about what happened there.
So at this point in time, when the first adventure starts, we'll see that Flameheart has ominously retreated after all of this time in the Sea of Thieves. And at the same time, spectral activity is increasing. So one of the first things you'll see when you're taking part of these adventures is you're going to have Larinna speaking to you. You're going to have Larinna asking you to help out. And she is going to be sending you out to investigate Golden Sands, first of all. This is obviously the biggest threat on the Sea of Thieves right now. Golden Sands, the significant trading outpost, has been engulfed in this fog. Its inhabitants are missing. And Larinna is going to task you, first of all, to investigate.
If you're looking for adventure, I'll fill you in on all you need to know.
As an environment artist, it's great fun to go into an area and destroy it, basically. But it is one of the most kind of vibrant, well-loved islands in the game. So when you're doing it, you're sort of like, oh God, what am I doing to this place? But at the same time, it was kind of the perfect island to do it to because it was so perfect and well-loved. Everyone, that is the outpost.
What I really like about changing something that is pre-existing in the Sea of Thieves is that you can add history to an already existing area. When it comes to somewhere like Golden Sands, you can sort of play at the players' emotions because they love that area. I mean, I love that outpost. It's going to be a bit painful to see it in such a devastating state.
There's clear evidence that there's been a battle taking place, and it's quite obvious that the inhabitants of the island did not win that battle. They vacated the island, and this ghostly fog, the fog of the damned, has come and settled in over the island. Everything's very eerie, mysterious, and we really wanted to convey that real mystery of what has happened here. This is not like a normal battle scene, and you can see that they've tried to defend themselves, and it's not gone well.
One of the key points for me is the tavern sign outside the tavern is just fallen down and split in two. And I think that really symbolizes just the state that the outpost is in at this point.
For this first story and this adventure, I think the sort of tone and emotion we were trying to convey was foreboding. So for these sort of shrouded islands with the fog of the damned, we've used the fog music that we already have, but we've introduced these other elements with a day and night cycle to it as well. So we've sort of incorporated that into the music as well, and used this theme that we've created for Adventure 1.
The adventure will take you across multiple other locations that are also engulfed in fog, and you will encounter phantoms, including a new phantom type that we're calling the Soul Flame Captain. He's a fearsome threat, and you will need to use the environment around you to take it on.
I asked Chloe if she would be interested in writing some music for the Soul Flame Captains. And she was completely, as always, up to the challenge. She's used that first theme that we've been sort of framing the whole Adventure 1 in, but she's really cleverly sort of weaved it into her combat music. And it's a lot of complicated sort of time signatures, and even the chords that are sort of syncopated are calling out that theme. It's really nicely done. But it's got that pace and sort of urgency.
So Belle has been in the Sea of Thieves world and stories for some time, but this is her first appearance within the game. And she comes from the Sea of the Damned, and unlike many of her characters, she's been around for hundreds of years. She's seen so many things within the spectral realm of the Sea of the Damned, and now she has taken this chance to help the Pirate Lord against this new threat from Captain Flameheart.
She has this necklace around her neck, which certain players might have noticed if you've got a keen eye, and that has a symbol on it which ties her into the Ferry of Damned. And she's appeared right now because there's a time of great need. The Pirate Lord is in desperate need of help, and she's come to save the day.
She knows so much more than she's letting on on what's going on in Sea of Thieves. So she doesn't have that kind of worldview that an ordinary pirate does. So it was almost like what I'm trying to convey with her theme was just sort of wondrous and quite majestic, I suppose, as well. And it's just this kind of as old as time theme I was trying to convey, I suppose, really.
Are you done? Sit down, Ramsey. I'll handle this.
We're really excited to be able to start this long narrative that's going to be an epic tale for players to experience. There's going to be cinematic moments, there's going to be lots of lore and narrative to get involved with, and this is just the start, really, of what's going to be a really exciting year for Sea of Thieves. It's going to be a real game changer.
I think for me, the most exciting thing about Adventures is this opportunity to tell an ongoing story at a regular cadence. We can tell a story that will give you those emotional highs, give you those emotional lows, make you want to come back to find out where that story is going. It will make players feel at the heart of this progression of the world of Sea of Thieves. And also, players will be able to look back after the time, see the scars of these stories. They will continue to exist as well, and players will be able to remember their place in the history of Sea of Thieves, as well as wanting to know where it goes next.
Our plans for the immediate future are incredibly exciting, with new adventures, ongoing mysteries, and exciting new experiences coming to the Sea of Thieves world.
So as we look to the future of Sea of Thieves, we are all in on this new approach with the existing seasons, but then doubling down with the adventures and the mysteries, but also continuing to evolve the world and evolve the mechanics that are there, so new ways to progress and new tools. And we really believe that the future of Sea of Thieves over the next year and beyond is going to be incredibly exciting for us and for all of our players.
We hope you enjoyed this first look at what we have planned for Sea of Thieves in 2022. With adventures, mysteries, and seasons, the Sea of Thieves will feel more alive than ever and give you even more ways to play. And there's still plenty to share about what's coming throughout the rest of the year, but we'll save that for another time. Until then, keep a weather eye on the horizon, and I'll see you on the seas.
So I'll let that replay behind us just so people can see the stuff. Oh, is it really redirecting? It's redirecting people to over here. It might be redirecting to people over here. Oh my gosh. we may get a pretty big swell of views all of a sudden in a second here. At least it did it for me. It immediately said that it was going to bring people over here. So if suddenly you're watching me and you're like, what on earth is going on? It was going right to that stream. Now, it's probably because I'm logged in. No, we did just get a big bump in viewership. If you just watched the Sea of Thieves live stream event reveal, we co-streamed it here, and we're going to discuss it right now. So if you want to discuss it, air your grievances. If you're mad about Arena, you can take the poll at the top of our chat. What side of the game do you lean toward, PvE or PvP? We'd love to hear from you. We do live gaming video talk show coverage here Monday through Friday, so we welcome different viewpoints, and I'm trying to make sure my camera's not being weird with the focus there. We welcome different viewpoints and disagreement. We had a pretty hot disagreement leading up to that thing going live, and I'm trying to pull it back up again. Hang on a second. I'm going to try and pull it back up again. Never heard of this guy. Yeah. Sea of Thieves event. I was just going to let it replay again in the background since they did premiere it, and it is now a 4K video. You can't watch a premiere in 4K. So my takeaways from this are, oh wait, hang on. That's not what we want. There we go. My takeaways from this are they clearly are going for the more seasonal live service format. There also seem to be a pretty heavy focus on PvE content. Correct me if I'm wrong, the adventures and the tall tales are pretty PvE focused. Now, obviously, you're still out in the open world and people can still mess with you and attack you. But one of the things we were discussing before the premiere event went live is why we think there'd be a more balanced approach to PvE and PvP in the game if you were given a very strong incentive, triple XP and gold earn rate or whatever, if you flagged for PvP and then grabbed missions and quests and got way more rewarded, significantly more rewarded while flagged for PvP. And then the people that are just kind of like, man, I feel like taking it easy tonight. I don't really feel like getting attacked or griefed. I would like a PvE option, basically. So you're still out in the world, but you're just not flagged for PvP. When I was searching about Sea of Thieves Adventures and Sea of Thieves Tall Tales, one of the top forum posts in December last year was saying adventures need the ability to be purely PvE. So apparently people were trying to do some of the adventures and some of the progress, and they were getting attacked and they were getting griefed, and they were going to the forums to be like, man, could you guys do something about this? How surprising was that 2% number? Well, it sounded like it might have been a little bit more complex. So they are shutting down arenas, which was a purely PvP focused sort of competitive environment, and they said it only accounted for about 2% of their player base was engaging with it, which I didn't find surprising. I think a lot of the people that defend PvP in the game aren't really PvP players. They're just griefers. They just like to mess with people, and that's primarily how they like to play. Now, somebody pushed back when I made note of that. I was like, it's a purely PvP-focused mode. If this game is so great for PvP, why weren't more people playing Arena? And somebody in chat said that it was actually designed poorly, like the quest was really bad, and so it wasn't designed well. So I think it was Corver. Corver was essentially saying it wasn't very good, so its engagement numbers were probably more indicative of the fact that it wasn't designed well, not necessarily that it wasn't that this community is not very PvP oriented. It still seems strange that if arenas should have got an initial surge of interest if this game attracts so many PvP players, and if it does attract so many PvP players, why wouldn't they tweak it and make it better? The reasoning, I think, if I could speak for them, based on everything they said today, I'm going to kind of extrapolate some things. I feel like they want the world itself to be the focus. They want you out in the world. They want stories, adventures, tall tales, seasons, and things happening out in the world. They don't want you closed off in arenas and pulling people from the main world. So arenas only getting 2% engagement, combined with their new thrust and their attention on really, really embracing being a live service game, I think is primarily why they're shutting it down. It didn't sound like they had a lot of reasons to keep it open. Yeah, they don't have 25 million in the player base. They said 25 million people have played. They said that the game has sold 5 million copies on Steam. The concurrent numbers on Steam aren't that impressive in light of 5 million in sales. You know, we'll see what happens when they rejuvenate the game with a new season and new content, new adventures. You know, does that bring a lot of people back? I am curious. 5 million in sales and then seeing, 16,000 player peaks in the last 24 hours. I'm curious where that number goes when they launch new content. So, I do think primarily the game is played on Xbox, but again, 5 million is a pretty impressive number. They said they sold 5 million on Steam. Yeah, they said it in this video, Wheezy. I was like, that's a lot of freaking sales for Steam. Like, I think it's because, no, they said 5 million on Steam. They specifically stated it. Chat can back me on this because I made note of it. I was like, 5 million in Steam? I was like, that's a lot. It's possible that it had a big surge because you couldn't get it for a while on Steam. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. I mean, the all-time Steam chart, let's go here. Sea of Thieves Steam chart. Let's look at the all-time player record. 66,000. That doesn't... Yeah, he specifically said Steam. Abe's backing me on that. Yeah, their all-time peak was 66,000. That seems really low for 5 million in sales. Unless it's been 5 million spread out over... when was it first available? 2 years. So, who knows? Maybe the Pirate's Life thing, they had a big surge in sales. I don't know. Look at the numbers. I'm looking at the numbers. Yeah, it doesn't look like a game that would have 5 million in sales. I don't know if they've ever had 5 million people even playing in total across all the time it's been out. It's been out for 2 years. That means they've averaged, 2.5 million sales a year on Steam. Is there a way to get Steam sales numbers somewhere? Sea of Thieves Steam sales numbers. That seems so... If I just searched for it on Google, in a blog post on the game's Steam page, the developers have announced that not only has Sea of Thieves reached a huge player milestone, it has also sold over 5 million copies on PC. So they made that announcement in Steam, and this is saying on PC. No. And here's another article. The developer announced on Twitter that the game has passed 5 million sales on Steam. They right here. Let me pull the tweet up for you. We're celebrating more than 5 million scoundrels splashing out for the Sea of Thieves on Steam. To mark this milestone, anyone who plays Sea of Thieves between December 22nd and the 29th gets All Together Now, an emote for free. They tweeted it. That was Steam, Wheezy. They tweeted it. Here. Let me give you the tweet. Copy link. The tweet is in Discord. We are celebrating more than 5 million scoundrels splashing out for Sea of Thieves on Steam. I don't know, man. The concurrent player numbers don't line up with 5 million in sales. Wait, when did they say that? They sent that tweet on... When did they send the tweet? Open the dadgum tweet here. They sent the tweet on December the 22nd of 2001. So a year and a half after launch, they celebrated 5 million in sales. So a year and a half. It launched June of 2020 on Steam, according to Steam charts. That's what it looks like to me. That's when they first started recording numbers. And so a year and a half later, December of 2021, they said that they had 5 million in sales on Steam. I don't know. That seems really weird in light of the fact that the player base numbers have never been that high on Steam. Those numbers don't make sense. Yeah, because think about it. Why is the concurrent player numbers never risen very high then? What, 66,000? Wasn't that... Steam charts. Let me pull Steam charts up again. Yeah, 66,000 was their record. That was their all-time high on Steam. That seems really low for a 5 million... Unless it's just been a slow trickle of sales every time they did events and stuff. I don't know. What about the Arena commendations? They said that starting in the next season, Arena is shutting down. They said it only accounted for about 2% of their player base. If you guys have never been here before, holy moly, we are screaming to 11,000 subs. If you've never been here before, usually I am in this scene having a video game talk show with the audience. We co-stream this. I am a safe for work broadcaster, so a lot of people, they subscribe to the channel, and I'm in your sub feed all week. They throw me on in the background. I'm like video game radio. So if you're enjoying the conversation, if you're passionate about Sea of Thieves and you think it should never have a PvE option, we welcome you to come in and debate with us. We are definitely a more PvE-oriented community here. I, for one, would play the game a lot more if they would balance the PvP, PvE aspects. I know there are people that are adamantly against that. I don't play the game. I simply state a very simple sentence. If they added that, I would come and play. Since they don't have that in the game, I tend to stay away from the game. I'm not trying to doubt them or anything, but that number just seems really weird with their activity historically. Yeah, like how many, like Valheim, you know, had a player peak of 500,000. Well, I mean, Valheim had so much help from big streamers and stuff too. That kind of was a viral moment. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe with the in-game sales and copies. People buy Steam games all the time without playing them. That's Steam for you. I have a Lono monitor on my work home set up. They might have done a really, really big sale. It also sold 7.9 million copies. Yeah, so almost double. Almost 8 million. Almost 8 million. If you've enjoyed the show today, do me a favor. Smash the like button as well. Likes are really lacking. We had a ton of people here, and we don't even have 300 likes to show for it. How many people have similar experiences to Lono? They own the game, played here and there, but they hardly touched the game after making no progress. It's over time. The game's been out for 2 years. People can buy, play for a week, and then never again. Listen, let's be honest about something then. If the 5 million sales number for Steam is accurate, then there's something to be said for a lot of my argumentation. There's something to be said for that. They've never had a strong concurrent player base number that is indicative of a game that sold 5 million copies. They peaked at 66,000. In the past 24 hours, the most they had was 15,000 people playing. That to me, come on. How many people then bought the game and they're like, I don't like this. I got griefed, or I didn't make progress, or I got picked on, or I don't like this game, or who knows what. I don't know. It makes it look worse. Yeah, right? Like, you want to brag about 5 million in sales, your Steam numbers aren't very impressive. So you have a capture problem. You don't have a sales problem, you have a capture problem. You're not capturing people. You sold 5 million copies and you never exceeded 100,000 players? What are you talking about? This, you're right, this year, look at all the PvE, but trust me, they will never make a PvP option. They will never make PvP an option. I think you forgot, when Sea of Thieves was a huge thing on Twitch, when Summit and XQC were streaming the game, it was on par with Fortnite for a small time. Yeah, but okay, let me respond to that, Asparagus. Why did they never exceed 100,000 players on Steam? 66,000? In a 1.5 year period, you sell 5 million copies, and you can't even get past 66,000? God of War on PC, a single-player game, hit 75,000 concurrent players its opening weekend. Do you see what I'm saying? That's not even a multiplayer game. Not many games exceed 100,000 at once. A really popular game made by Rare that sold 5 million copies should very easily exceed 100,000 players at a given time. It's because new players get the game looking for fun. They get stomped by Pirate Legends and they don't come back. The Final Cure says, it's hard to play without friends. I would love to play this game more, but I don't. Cyberpunk sold 10 million plus copies. Less than 1% of the game owners are actually playing it. Yeah, that's low. This is just how Steam works. Super heavy discounts get people to buy the games that they wouldn't buy otherwise. This is true for all Steam games. Can you debate Arena commendations, please? What do you want me to debate? I don't know anything about Arena commendations, homie. They said they're shutting down Arena because it accounted for 2% of the player base. When it launched, it had like 2,000 group posts, and now it has 200. Yeah, it's got terrible retention. Listen, hear me out. I'm not hating on this game, by the way. Hear me out. You think that they're focusing primarily on adventures and tall tales and seasonal content? You think they're doing that because of PvP? No, they're doing that because this is the type of content that will likely bring people back. Wasn't the hype of the game on Purple happened before it was on Steam? Probably. This thing came to Steam in June of 2020. In the middle of 2020, they were doing all that well before then, I'm fairly certain. So you think we'll miss out? Chris, I don't know what to tell you, my man. They said that the start of Season 6, Arenas is going bye-bye. You can like the game or whatever, but the retention is terrible. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you like this game and you think it's doing just fine, their retention on PC is horrible. It's really, really bad. I may be guilty of buying many games on Steam and then never playing them. Yeah, you can't... Listen. You're being really reductionist and too simplistic if you're going to say, oh, it sold 5 million copies on Steam, but the fact that nobody's playing it is because, oh, well, people do that all the time. They buy games on Steam and don't play them. So 5 million people did? Show me the Xbox and Xbox PC numbers, which I don't think we can pull. But that doesn't matter. They bragged about selling 5 million copies on Steam. They never exceeded 66,000 players at a given time. When they hit 66,000 peak, that was when it came to Steam in June. Since then, the closest they've come to the 66,000 number was 62,000 in June of 2021. So their 1-year anniversary on Steam, was that when they did Pirate's Life? That was the summer, was it not? Pirate's Life was June of last year. That's probably why. Sea of Thieves, Pirate's Life launch was... It was in June. Yeah. So in June, they hit 62,000. So they literally did Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was awesome, and we played it, and we liked it, and they didn't even exceed their original record of 66,000. They hit 62. On average, their peaks are in the 20 and 30,000s. So this is most played games on Xbox. It's 5, that's 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 27th. It's the 27th most played game on Xbox, if I'm reading this correctly. What are peak numbers for free games in comparison? I don't know. God of War hit 75,000, bro. A single player game has a higher peak concurrent player number than Sea of Thieves. Come on. Steam does not have the majority of the players of Sea of Thieves. Man, you guys, I don't think you're capturing what I'm saying. I don't think you're getting it. I agree the Steam chart doesn't make much sense, but I feel like Microsoft Rare is smarter than to tell people some arbitrary number. Brags about player counts on games they give away. CSGO's peak is 1.3 million. I think the real issue with Sea of Thieves is that it's tough to play alone, and the sailing mechanic while fun at times, is really cumbersome when you're trying to get things done. Yeah, I mean, not surprising. They talked about that in this video. They said that they're going to do a podcast. They want to address hit registration, griefing, and the solo player experience. Gee, all of the things we frickin' talked about before they went live. People kept bringing up hit registration, and I kept bringing up playing by yourself and getting griefed. Surprise, surprise. And then they brag that they sold 5 million units on Steam, and the Steam numbers have never been that impressive. So you have a retention problem, which lines up with everything that I said. People bought the game in record number on Steam, and they're not playing it. 5 million people bought it, and you never exceeded 66,000 concurrent players. That doesn't make any sense. That only makes sense if a lot of what I'm saying is the conventional thought of, like, I got that game and booted it up and it was annoying. I don't make fun of you for paying for a service. Oh, you know, debating the Game Pass thing. If anything, I could see that they had a sale during one of the Pirates' lives. You got to hit people with the new stuff. I think it's kind of lame. They haven't even made a poll somewhere to that what players prefer. They didn't even exceed their original player count, though, ADJC. The game launches June 2020. In June 2021, A Pirate's Life comes out, and they hit 62,000 players. They don't exceed the 66. Those numbers definitely indicate that a lot of people bought the game and didn't come back. I don't see how anyone can argue. Yeah, how can you argue with 5 million in sales on Steam over... It's only been a year and a half. That's fast, bro. That's fast. A year and a half to sell 5 million copies on Steam, and you've never exceeded 66,000 players. That means tons of people bought the game and never came back. They played it and they never came back, which makes no sense. It's a fun game. It's a beautiful game. It only makes sense if I'm not crazy, that the game experience of playing by yourself and getting PvP'd, attacked, and griefed is extremely bad for the game's retention. The only logical conclusion is they have a lot of churn. So I guess they didn't address your concerns? Not yet, no. They said they're going to launch a podcast on February the 11th, and on that podcast, they're going to address hit registration, the solo player experience, and griefing. I bought the game at launch, played for a few hours, thought it was trash, never played it again. The player count suggests that people don't play. They try it and don't play. People buy it, don't play it, and never come back. I'm telling you right now, I swear to you, if this would have been Season 6, we are introducing the ability to play Sea of Thieves and turn off PvP, they'd break their 66,000 player number on Steam. I'd put frickin' money on the table. I'd put money on the table. Here you go. They'd probably have a big surge of people come back to the game. That's the reason I stopped playing. For example purposes only, Destiny's got 20 million unique players and 1 million plus daily. Yeah. These guys have 5 million and they're daily probably hitting what? 50,000 maybe? 5 million people who bought it over time, and now they want to brag about how many people bought it, but how many people played anymore. That's what we're talking about, ADJC. The game has been out for 1.5 years on Steam, so 18 months, okay? 5 million sales in 18 months. That's actually really good. But they that's my video. Elden Ring, new info about Ring. That's my video. Let's just loop it. You should be on that podcast. Well, let's not loop it. They don't want me on that podcast. It's an incredibly beautiful game, and I love the world. The griefing is brutal, and I completely agree about PvE-only servers. I would probably come back at least for a bit. Here's something that people don't understand. Let's talk about this for just a moment. People like, griefing doesn't happen all that often. So you're probably a committed player, you've played a lot, and griefing doesn't happen to you all that often. Sure. Good for you. All it takes is one time for a lot of people to never come back. If it's your first or second time playing and you have a bunch of stuff and a bunch of progress taken from you by a PvP player or by a griefer. Griefers and PvP players are not one and the same. If a PvP player or a griefer takes all your stuff from you, you think you're going to come back and play that game again once you realize the reality of that situation? No. That's why the numbers are so bad. Virtually, 5 million people bought it, and I wouldn't surprise me at all if a ton of people booted up to play that game, had one bad experience, and were like, well, if this is the game, I'm not coming. Why would I come back and play this? This is terrible. Everything I said before the live stream, I said, come on, man, why am I going to do that? The last time I tried to play this game with my wife, my kids, and my friend, we had a terrible experience. Why would I come back? I still see trolls being very annoying on a PvE server. Well, I mean, they wouldn't be able to do anything to you. There was only 2% of the players playing a straight-up PvP mode, so what percent of players that play PvP on the normal mode? I would assume it's not much higher. 30, that's a good point, but here's the reality. I think a lot of the people that defend PvP, they're not PvP players. Do you want to know why they didn't go into Arena? Because they had to play other people that were armed to the teeth and ready to play PvP, who were probably actually good at PvP. The people that defend PvP and they don't want a PvE mode, do you want to know why they don't want a PvE mode? Because they pick on people that are just trying to quest, or they grief people in spawn. You didn't want to go play a PvP mode, because a PvP mode would have demanded that you actually be good at the game. Because everybody in Arena is PvP minded. But when you go into the open world, half the people you're picking on aren't in their boat, just spawned, playing by themselves, so it's easy picking. It's, of course, you're not a fan of PvP, you're a fan of picking on people. It's a pirate game. Now we know why PvP players don't want a PvE mode, because they don't want to lose all their easy pickings players. They don't want to lose you. They want you in the game. Well, guess what? Look at the player numbers on Steam. Nobody's playing the dadgum game. You sold 5 million copies and no one's playing on Steam. I disagree. See if these players want PvEVP, not PvP. That's a fancy way of saying they want to pick on people who aren't prepared to defend themselves. Then why are they leaning more heavily towards PvE story mode? That's exactly right. Everything they're doing to the game is tall tale, adventures. They're leaning towards the story mode. They're leaning towards PvE. Give them a year. I guarantee you, give them a year and it'll be here. The PvE mode will be here. Give them a year. I'll defend PvP all day. That was the best part of the game by far, but Arena was lame. In open world, you get natural PvP encounters as you play the game, and fighting over loot and forts was awesome. True PvPers never complain about PvE. They're too busy making builds and fighting other PvPers. I don't think you can have a PvE mode. You would have been blocking the trader or ramming the ships. I think you'd need private servers. That's the griefer argument. Well, let's circle back to what my actual idea is. You would have a very strong incentive to flag for PvP because you'd grab quests and missions and you'd get double or triple the gold and XP. So now there's an appropriate risk and reward for PvP. Currently, there's no risk or reward for PvP. You can just boot up and pick on people, and you don't lose anything. You have no skin in the game. If your boat gets sunk, you get another one, okay? It's like you're the rich, spoiled son. Like, if you break or wreck your car, you just get another one, right? The people trying to do PvE, they're the ones that take all the risk. It doesn't make any sense. It's super imbalanced. There's a dissonance in the game. That dissonance is why they sold 5 million copies on Steam and can't crack 100,000 players. 66,000's their record. You sold 5 million copies and you can't even crack 100 grand? The frick? Why? That's why. Yeah, dude, I tried out that Sea of Thieves game. Yeah. You know what happened? Did a bunch of stuff, missions, and then some guy came and stole all my stuff. I want to play a game like that. Uninstall. I'm interested to see what's the reviews. It's got very positive reviews. 166,000. It's got a 90%. It's got a 90%. That's surprising given the number of sales. This guy says, after 238 hours worth of playing this game, I've decided to leave a review. It's a beautiful game with novel gameplay features. With all the positives, I'm uninstalling and don't think I'll be returning, if at all. Recently, I have run into a number of crews who have pretended to be friendly only to sink my ship and then will be horribly mean-spirited in chat about it. There you go. That's a downvote. So most people are actually giving it fair reviews. Let's be honest here. Let's see what the negative reviews are on Steam. The 10% that said no thank you. It's a niche loop. There are PvE. So this is the most helpful negative review. Another ship locks onto yours like a heat-seeking missile, and the chase begins. You try to run, but they're in a brigantine, and you're in the sloop. Neither of you really know how the sails work. It's a great fight, but sadly, it's also a hypothetical one. Fights like this do happen in the Sea of Thieves, but what I've described above is a fight between players who are new and have no idea what they are doing. This is when the PvP is at its best. It's frantic, crazy, and spectacular. More frequently, however, the players deliberately seeking out PvP and new players are the people who have already sunk hundreds of thousands of hours into the game, know every modicum of the meta, and who do nothing but fight other players. If, in the above situation, you were talking about a brig crew who were good at the game and knew the meta, it would have gone more like this. A ship locks onto yours and the chase begins. You try to run, but they're in this and you're in this, and you try to run away, but your hull explodes, your mast falls, and you lose everything. Here's the problem. The latter situation sucks, it's not fun, and in my experience, it's far more common than the situation I described earlier. This game has an incredibly toxic community, which is also very good at the game, and you will run into players who will stop at nothing, not only to steal your treasure, but make you feel bad and want to stop playing. The consensus, as far as I can tell, among the more vocal members of the community is that the game's title contains the word thieves, which, upon a quick reference to your favorite dictionary, is evidently defined as people who put hundreds of hours into a cartoon pirate game for the explicit purpose of trying to make it so other people can't play cartoon pirate games. The body of water in the game is also called Sea of Thieves, which must be telling. After all, every body of water inherits properties of its name. Pacific means peaceful and character, and we all know that no wars have ever been fought in the Pacific Ocean. These experiences will occur, and they may end up being your first encounter with other players. Unlike Rust or Ark, there is no server list in Sea of Thieves. You must play with other random members of the community, toxic players included, or not play at all. The value proposition, then, is wrong. This is a $40 game with a niche gameplay loop and the express guarantee that you will have many negative experiences with other players. Like I said, I had fun with it, I learned how to avoid other players, and when combat was inevitable, I learned some of the sneakier tricks. Some people will be so drawn to this game that they'll be willing to do that, but I reckon most people won't. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Buyer beware. So, I mean, this guy writes a very thoughtful, review as to why they're not retaining a good player, a good number on Steam. He's like, look, man, this is the most common thing I've run into. It's really toxic people. What did I say earlier? And why do you think that guy got so triggered when I said PvP communities tend to devolve into degenerate, cannibalistic behavior? That guy just described exactly that. They get bored, they're super experienced, and they devolve into degenerate, cannibalistic behavior. You've sold 5 million copies on Steam, and you can't maintain a good player base on Steam because the toxic community ran everybody off. Sea of Thieves. Thieves in the... Okay, cool. Yeah, it's got good reviews, Paul. I'll give it that. It has a 90% on Steam. Its player retention is god-awful. It's awful. How many people played the game and gave it a good review? They're like, yeah, it's a pretty fun game. And then they came back later and they're like, I don't want to play this anymore. So they're not going to knock the game and give it a bad review. They're like, well, yeah, I played it and had some fun, but I'm not going to keep coming back. Their player retention is so bad. The reviews and the sales numbers don't line up with the player retention. Again, this makes me super suspicious. What did we say the other day with Deathloop and the media darling treatment and the Game Awards treatment? What did we say? It's Microsoft. Peculiar, isn't it? Microsoft-owned property, boasting of crazy sales numbers on Steam. Player base numbers don't seem to line up with the sales numbers. 100 and something thousand reviews. How many reviews is that on Steam? 167,000 reviews on Steam. Why is your player base numbers never crack 66,000 players? It doesn't make any sense. It's an online game. It's literally a game that you play online with other people. You sold 5 million copies? Did you design all your infographics? This stuff here, that is me. The animation is my producer. Like the joystick and the logo and stuff, that's me. Like I said, Lono, I play on the test server with my son because PvPers don't play on that server because of the progression. So my son and I love playing and just exploring. Yeah, 30, I had 2 TVs set up in my living room. I was going to start playing with my kids and my wife, but we literally couldn't enjoy ourselves. We just got griefed and attacked. I'd leave a positive review, but would say that the constant having to look over your shoulder gets tiring. Yeah, I mean, how many Steam reviewers are going in and being like, it's great, but be warned, you might have a really bad time. It's not necessarily on the game. Because it's been out for 4 years? No. It's been on Steam for a year and a half. They sold 5 million copies in a year and a half, and they've never cracked over 66,000 players. I'm not talking about... If we didn't have those sales figures, we wouldn't be having this conversation, Paul. When we looked at the player base numbers earlier, I thought, oh, that's not too bad. It's been out for a while. That's actually not too bad. But then when they said they sold 5 million copies on Steam, I went, huh? Say what now? Excuse me? The game could have 1 million reviews at 100% positive rating. The numbers are dog crap. You guys keep talking about the reviews like they matter. The blanking player base is probably more important than a few people saying the game is fun. Yeah, there's no people playing. It was not on Steam day one, though. It sold 5 million copies, Paul! I would say the average player plays for like 20 to 30 hours. I don't know. I can't dispute your prediction. I could only make my own prediction and say, I bet people play for way less. They play long enough to not get a refund, and then they have a bad experience. Like that guy said, all you got to do is run into one troll grief group, and you are not coming back. Who's gonna come back to that? Yeah, it's like you. Okay, let me give you an example. Most PvP games, if you play Fortnite, for example, and you run into some trolls who send you nasty messages or they teabag you, okay? You can go into the next game and not have that experience, and that's the end of the matter. But in Sea of Thieves, not only do they attack you, and you lose all your progress, and you lose all of your stuff, you don't just like lose a game and then jump into the next game. You lose everything, and then they're nasty to you. You think you're going to come back and play a game like that? You have no idea of the game. We can tell that from what you say. Stop crying. Give me your loot. Yeah, I have no idea about this game except for the fact that I got early access, was in one of the most legendary streams of it during the beta, have had the Sea of Thieves account retweet my content. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, I've covered it ever since it's come out. We dove into Pirate's Life. I've had record-breaking numbers of viewership on this channel when we covered Pirate's Life. And everything I said, they address in the video. Playing solo is bad, griefing is bad, and people in chat brought up hit registration. They brought up all of that in the video. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I know nothing about the game, and yet everything I brought up in my preamble before they went live, they address in the video. If you look at player counts on Steam, it's not really bad, though. What do you mean? What do you mean? No. You'd have to... Those numbers are not... Are those lifetime versus daily? Because, again, you've got to look at total sales. It's a top 50 game right now. What's the top... that's current players. I can camp you for 4 hours, I promise. What are you proving, right? I could wait outside somebody's house and spray him with a hose. That doesn't mean I'm good at anything. It just means I'm a jerk. Like, what? Oh, yeah, waited outside your house and sprayed you with a hose when you came out. Like, okay, what are you proving other than the fact that you're a jerk? Like, I don't understand what you're arguing here. You're clearly concerned because I just spent the last 10 minutes talking about the fact that they claimed they sold 5 million copies on Steam, and the player base numbers do not seem indicative of that. They've got 167,000 reviews. Where are the players? Why is no one playing? You just make drama, the game is good. Okay. That's what I do. You're right. You just subbed 2 minutes ago. You're right. You've encapsulated my entire career. I just make drama, man. What's the player peak? 66,000. And that was when the game launched. Do you understand? The game launched June of 2020. In that month, they hit 66,000. That's when they hit their peak. Since then, they have supposedly sold 5 million copies, and they've never exceeded the 66,000. So that tells me they have a retention problem. %1 retention versus 5% for a game with 20 million sales. Me and my friends are pretty much new. We just get griefed by the players. They just camp on the ship when we try to spawn. Due to low spec laps, they instantly kill us. What should I do? I mean, I don't have any advice for you, homie. You just gotta quit and try and get in a different server. Bragging about 20 million players and yet 16,000 on Steam, not even top 30 on the Xbox, top 50. The game has no content than PvP after a week of playing, so it will be better soon. Be patient. Homie, did you watch the same video that I watched? Their primary concern and their primary content thrust is adventures and tall tales and mysteries, and they're shuttering Arena. They're moving toward PvE more heavily than they're moving toward PvP. Just practice PvP, get familiar with the game mechanics. Oh, the guy getting griefed? Homie, how do you practice PvP when people grief you? I described an instance earlier where I played. I was getting my ship ready and loading it up with supplies, waiting for my wife to come downstairs, and these guys sailed by and shot my ship. And when they saw that I repaired it and it didn't sink, they came back. And they just went back and forth until they sunk my ship, and then they went on their merry way. They don't give a frick about treasure. They don't give a frick about progress. They're literally griefing spawns. Do you think that's a rare occurrence that just doesn't happen that often? I just got unlucky? $66,000 is the peak. It doesn't average 66,000. Yeah, 66,000 is the peak, Robert. It hit like 15,000 player peak yesterday. For Honor has more players right now. For perspective. Yeah. 66,000 is the peak. Homies, I've monitored player base numbers and gamer trends for 7 years. I've done it for 7 years. And you're sitting here expecting me to accept the fact that in an 18-month period, a game sold 5 million copies and has never exceeded 66,000 player peaks. God of War on PC, a single-player game, had a 75,000 player peak. That's a single-player game, for crying out loud. It has a higher player peak than Sea of Thieves on its opening weekend. I got news for you. God of War on PC didn't sell 5 million copies over the weekend when it came out. I've been playing Sea of Thieves since launch, both Xbox and PC. I have it on Windows Store due to the buying the game. Everyone wants to make a point. I blanking love the game, but I don't play much because of the griefing that happens. If they changed more to PvE content and protected the PvE players, I'd be playing a lot more. I didn't know the past 3 days I've been doing a pirate's life, and when I'm in the open world, I haven't been touched in PvP yet. I think when you're doing Pirate's Life, Chad, I'm telling you right now, I think they put you in specific instances and servers where there's less players. I swear to frick they do. Because when we did Pirate's Life, I never saw anybody. Until we got down under the water and we did that one puzzle. Then there were people down there with us. When I did Pirate's Life, I never saw anybody. But if you just boot up and try and quest and grind and make progress, I get attacked all the time. What I'm saying, I've covered this, man. I've covered this. We used to get in debates all the time about recurring players and concurrent players in Destiny, you know, and trying to show people that, like, listen, a healthy player base looks like this. This doesn't look like a healthy player base. When you go through the portal, it's an instance. Yeah, and I think when you come out of them, Corver, I swear to you, you get put in specific servers when you're coming in and out of the portals for Pirate's Life. I swear to you they do it to protect your experience. I think they put you in less populated servers or something. I don't know. I'm a middle-of-the-road player, says Mike. I enjoy both sides of the game. Win some, lose some. Loot's not yours till it's sold. It's a pirate game. Listen, man, I hear that. You like the game warts and all. I'm not even talking about my opinion anymore. I'm talking about a game that boasted that they sold 5 million copies in 18 months on Steam, and they've never cracked 100,000 players. I don't think that that's very good. I think it's indicative of a lot of people buying the game, having a bad experience, and then they leave. That's what I think. Instead of logging out and losing our supplies, we can use the portal and jump to a different server. PvPers use the portals to server hop. Oh. I think the reason for the low player peaks is due to toxicity. Many other PvP-based games have huge player bases with way more toxicity. Sea of Thieves is struggling with numbers because they tailor to new players. What? But it's been out for 18 months, and the player-based numbers have been like that. So answer me this then, Mac. If your theory is correct, so according to you, were they appealing to new players back in June of 2020? When did they start appealing to new players, in your opinion? When? Because it's never done that well on Steam. Never. It's like in RDO, how every mission is on a timer. It's a dumb way to make it more challenging because you don't get to enjoy what you're doing. Whether people want to admit it or not, PvE servers would definitely help the player count. Dude, I tell you right now, if today's announcement would have been, we are introducing a way for you to flag for PvP or flag for PvE, you'll still be in the same servers and see each other, but when you flag for PvP, you get a significant increased number of experience, gold, and returns on your quest. If they would have announced that, I'm telling you right now, the player base numbers would surge for the next season. They would have. I agree with your core argument, but player base is not a good one. Sorry to put a spanner in the works, but Witcher 3 only managed 50k peak since 2015. Is considered one of the best games. It's not an online game. It's not an online game. The fact that 50,000, it's within 16,000 of Sea of Thieves, and it's a single player game. That should tell you something. God of War on PC hit 75,000. Single player games should not be hitting similar numbers to a multiplayer game that sold 5 million copies in 18 months. I wonder if it's anything to do with people that bought it on Steam while having it on the Microsoft Store and going back to launch it from Microsoft. What? Why would you do that? Who would do that? You would buy the game in Steam and then close Steam and open up a different app? Who does that? Who is gonna what? If I buy a game in Steam, I'm gonna keep Steam open and then I'm gonna open the game. What? I understand you're theorizing, but that's incredibly unlikely that anybody would do that in great numbers. Maybe one or two people might be confused or, oh, I have to go buy it in Steam and then I have to open up the Microsoft Store, right? I could see a handful of people doing that, but not in great numbers. There's no way that many people are that confused. It literally installs and then a big button says play. Why would you would just click the button? Yeah, 400,000 people don't do that. Or 4 million. 4 million people don't do that. Apparently, at least one person has done it. They just asked about it. One poor guy's like, do you think, hypothetically here, you think somebody would have done this? I mean, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I mean, somebody might, though. You know, some other dum-dum might do that. I mean, not me. Not me. I would. I mean, I wouldn't do something that stupid. Oh, golly. Oh, golly. We're teasing you. Please take it in stride. We're just teasing. We're just teasing. True. I've introduced the game to a group of friends and explained to them the toxic side. I told them to give it a chance and stick it out. Most of them have. Mike G, I mean, I appreciate your honesty. A lot of the fans of the game just can't admit that it just seems lopsided, my man. It seems lopsided to be taking virtually no risks as a PvP player. You just can boot up and grief the snot out of folks, and then they take all the risk. Like, it just seems so lopsided. I feel like I'm taking all this risk, and PvP players are just sitting there chomping at the bit like, yeah, come on, I want you to do it, I want you to do it. Come play the game. Yeah, try. I dare ya. That's what they get to do. And I'm like, I don't wanna. I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna come in and be at the mercy of you degenerate. I don't want to have to deal with that. It's like any hope of progress. And they're like, we don't care about progress. We're just gonna sink your ship. We're gonna smack you around for 20 minutes and call you names. We just turn the sound down on them and say rude things. Oh yeah, she's rubbish. We need a new playlist called Drop Die Cast. Create. Will it have an... Yeah, let's do it. Who cares? We don't need any of that. We don't even need that paragraph anymore. Okay. Sorry, I'm scheduling our next stream. It's going to be very different than this one. Why am I getting mentioned? Where am I getting... Oh, I'm getting mentioned. You sound like the Joker trying to get Batman to kill him. That's what I was channeling. I was channeling the Joker. Come on, come on. I want you to do it. Hit me. Hit me! Yeah, that scene. How about a magic trick? These people will eat each other. Okay. In 2 years, Microsoft's going to brag about 30 million Halo users with a concurrent count of 20,000. Don't be mean. Don't be mean. It's probably true. The fact that you have to say it's a toxic side and not an annoying person here and there shows it's an obvious issue throughout the whole game and not just a rare experience. It's worse than that, Lono. They're bored and just out there looking for some form of entertainment. The first hurdle to progress is gaining skill at the game. Why does having and exercising skill mean someone is a degenerate? I say this as a player who's average at best. No. Listen. You have to understand that when I use the word degenerate, I'm not insulting someone who's good and skilled and wants to play PvP. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when people get to that point and that is their only source of enjoyment, they're playing the game in a degenerate way, right? It's a degenerate way of playing. It's like, as a verb, like it's a decline, right? It's a deterioration. That's what it is. It's a declining and deterioration form of playing. They're not playing it like an ideal way. To degenerate, right? When you say it as a noun, it's an immoral or corrupt person, right? You're a degenerate. But if you say it as like they're playing it in a degenerate way, as an adjective, it's having lost the physical, mental, or moral qualities considered normal and desirable, showing evidence of decline. Like, degenerate playstyle seems like an insult. Yeah, it's that you've declined into you've declined from the ideal and you're just playing in the degenerate way. Toxicity, cannibalistic behavior, driving people out of the game, that's a decline. That's not an ideal way to play the game. It's not. It's you don't want people playing in that way. That's a decline. That's a devolution is the other word that I used. I said they devolve into a degenerate, cannibalistic way of playing. It's bad for the game for people to be playing in that way. People love to grief, but you challenge them to a 1v1, which the game allows you to do. 9 out of 10 will never agree to it. Right. It's why all these people didn't flock to the arena, right? They didn't flock to the arena. Why? Because if you go into the arena, you're going to be facing other people looking for a fight. It's the bully mentality. Bullies don't pick on people their own size. Why? They find the runt of the litter and shove them around. But if you're like, hey, bucko, we're both in the same weight class. Let's go get in the ring. Let's go wrestle. Well, a bully's going to say no. Why? Because he's not looking for a fair fight. He's looking to mess with people. He's picking on people. It's the same idea. That's what griefing is. It's degenerate. It's the decline. It's like you're not supposed to be playing the game this way. This is supposed to happen every once in a while, and this is all you are doing. You keep generalizing PvP. No, I'm not. No, you're generalizing my argument, which is a straw man. You're committing the fallacy of straw man. I have not once said that that's what PvP is. I have said that PvP gameplay in a general way devolves and declines into degenerate cannibalistic behavior if you don't give people something to do. They need an incentive. This is an ongoing dialogue with me. I talk about how in PvP games like Call of Duty or in Destiny or in Fortnite and all these other places, if you don't give people a ranked environment to go earn and rank up and sweat and get prestige and get rewards, if you don't do that, what do? They get bored and they play in degenerate ways. All they care about is winning. They're rude. They're toxic. They stomp. They team up. They smurf. All this stuff happens. Why? Because they don't have anything else to do. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, I've not once indicated that PvP players are degenerates or playing in a PvP-minded way is degenerate. I've not once said that. I have said it devolves into that because there's nothing left for them to do. That's why my solution isn't just, let me go play by myself. It's, no, create balance. If you want a PvP, flag for PvP. You'll get tons more rewards, XP and gold. And guess what? Now there's risk reward. You want a PvP? You want to smack people around? Okay, there's risk reward, buddy. You don't want to do that? No problem. Right now, the game doesn't do that. Right now, the game says, if you come in and you want to do quests and missions, you take all the risk. But you want to come in and you want a PvP, maybe you want a grief, maybe you just like PvP, whatever, you take no risk. You can just do it all night with no risk of loss. The risk, as Eugene is saying, the risk and the incentives are off. And because they're off, we have devolved into a degenerate trend in the game. Everybody's just being a jerk. Well, not everybody, sorry, but there's a trend in the game that you're going to run into that. And what do you think your 5 million in sales on Steam experienced when most of them aren't playing anymore? A huge amount of them are not playing anymore. What do you think they experienced? Exactly what the well-written review I read experienced. They ran in to a doucher. It's called Sea of Thieves. Cool. Bye. I don't play. I love this game. I've followed this game since the beginning. I thought Pirate's Life was amazing. But the minute I left the Pirate's Life trajectory and just wanted to play casually with my wife or my kids, I literally couldn't do it. So I stopped playing. I'm probably one of a million people that did that on Steam. Well, man, I'm just trying to play, bro. What the frick? Like, this is horrible. You have one bad experience, you're not going to come back to a game like this. It's not, listen, with respect to Rare and with respect to what they've built, your game ain't that good. Your game's not that good for me to put up with that. It's not like, oh, but it's worth it. The gameplay is just so amazing. No, it's not. It's okay. It's satisfying. It's relaxing. But let me humble you a little bit, Sea of Thieves. Your gameplay ain't that good. Ain't nobody coming back and playing your game after getting griefed or beat up. Why? It's not worth it. It's like your gameplay's not that good. Who's coming back to put up with that crap? I lost all my stuff. I got griefed by some mean kid. Well, the gameplay's good enough. I'm coming back. No, the gameplay's good. That's about it. It hits the good bar. Like, you know, mediocre, average, good, great. Sea of Thieves hits the good bar. It's good, but it ain't that good. You have data to back up your theory about the inherent slide into degeneracy? Look at any PvP game in the existence for the last 10 years and what the game developers have to address, the complaints from the community, the general trends of player-based numbers, matchmaking struggles, skill-based matchmaking. It's all there. I'm not doing it for you. It's very readily available and visible in virtually every single freaking game out there. They all deal with this. This isn't a new problem. This isn't a new problem. I love the bones of it. That's a great way of saying it, Barry. For the record, I want the game to be good. I really love the bones of it. I agree. It doesn't seem to be a coincidence that they're shuttering Arena and focusing heavily on adventures, mysteries, and stories. Come on. Come on. That's not an accident. First negative review on Steam. Yeah, that's the one I read. That's the top-rated one. 16,000 player peak is all the data you need. Yeah, they sold 5 million. They sold 5 million copies in 18 months, and they're not hitting numbers that you would consider to be good. I mean, if you think I'm wrong, I mean, I don't know. Just look at the player base numbers. I don't think I don't know. I don't think the player base numbers are a refutation of what I'm saying. Everybody said the PvP was bad. But again, Robert, that's subjective. How many people said the PvP was bad because they didn't like having to go in and actually fight other people ready to fight? They didn't like that. Your theory is that this slide into degeneracy is inherent without incentives and balance. Sea of Thieves doesn't have incentives and balance. Ergo, Sea of Thieves PvP are inherently sliding into degeneracy. Yeah, look at the reviews and the reason people quit playing. I think I have proof in the community feedback. I think I have proof in the community that showed up today and constantly said, this is why I stopped playing. This is what I ran into. Even the guy right now that came in and said he likes the game and introduced his friends to the game, Mike G, he said he had to warn his friends about the toxicity. Come on, bro. Some guy that played the game for 238 hours, uninstalled it, and said this is a more common occurrence than not, that you run into griefers. You can't call that feedback and the feedback in chat today purely anecdotal when you combine it with the player base numbers. If the player base numbers were really impressive, you could say these reviews, this player feedback is purely anecdotal. But when the anecdotal evidence lines up with the objective and the measurable evidence, then you have a rock solid theory. You got a lot of people saying that this is what's happening, and then you look at the player base numbers. You're projecting why they stopped playing PvP? Okay, so are you. Who's right? You're projecting that they stopped playing because it was bad. I'm saying that people said it was bad because they probably didn't like going into a purely PvP environment. Why? Because look at the trend and the feedback from the community. The trend and the feedback from the community is that the people that focus on PvP are griefing and nasty. Not all of them, but the people that they run into, the people that drive them away, are nasty. Do you think griefers want to go play a PvP mode? No, because griefing is easy pickings. Easy pickings. There's no way for one of us to be right, Robert. It could have been a mix of both. Maybe it was designed poorly. They said they got 2% people to engage with it. That seems kind of odd. Don't you think they would have a surge of interest and gotten feedback and then tweaked it? It seems like they never got any interest. Why? Because I don't think people are looking for PvP. They're looking to grief. Does my anecdotal feedback matter? 900 hours, vast majority of players I meet are competitive but respectful. The bullies are a minority. It doesn't matter if you think the bullies are a minority. The bullies are driving people away. You have committed players saying this is why I'm quitting. Your 900 hours and your experience can't refute the fact that they said they sold 5 million copies in 18 months and they've never exceeded 66,000 players. Your experience can't refute that. That's a fact. That is a fact. Compared to other games that have sold in similar high numbers, its player-based numbers are not very impressive. 18 months is a short amount of time to hit 5 million in sales. How long did it take? What game recently hit like 8 million? It was like 4 years or something. 8 million. The trend in feedback's 90% positive, at least on Steam. Yeah, that doesn't make sense either. They sold 5 million copies in 18 months, a 90% feedback score out of like 167,000 reviews, and you can't crack 66,000 players. Not even with the Pirate's Life DLC. They hit 62,000. What? Where are all the players? Let me ask you something. If they sold 5 million copies in a year and a half, how many copies do you think they sold in a year? Let's just round that down to 3.5 million. 3 to 4 million in sales after a year. I'll give you that the Pirate's Life into the holidays, maybe they got another million in sales. So 3 to 4 million in sales. And when June rolls around and you can go play Pirate's Life, Pirates of the Caribbean, and they don't even exceed their previous peak, You don't think that that's a problem? That many sales, and 62,000? Their previous record of 66? Where are the players? Where are they? Where are the players? All this time people have told me, get good or get out. Do you know what's probably happened? A ton of people have done just that. Get good or get out. I'm done. Bye. I don't need your frickin' game. This isn't fun. Free content can't bring players back. Yeah, Pirate's Life was free. Johnny Depp was in the dadgum game, for Pete's sake. Like, what do you see what I'm saying? Like, where are the players? It's still a top-played game. I'm not talking about being a top-played game, Paul. I'm talking about where are the players. I don't care about other games. I don't care about the perspective of zooming out on games in general's performance on Steam. That is not what we are debating. We are debating about where are the players? Where's the retention? You sold 5 million copies. Where is everybody? In June, you gave away Pirates of the Caribbean and you didn't exceed your previous player numbers. Where are the players? Where are they? 5 million in sales. Even if they only sold 3 million copies June of last year, where is everybody? You can't even hit 100,000 players with free content, and you apparently sold 5 million copies? Where is everybody? In today's market, they drop free content tied to a great movie franchise and it doesn't bring back players. That's what I'm saying. Not a lot of games have hit 100K players, though. You need to qualify that sentence to make it matter. You would have to say, not a lot of games that have sold 5 million copies in 18 months have hit 100,000 players. That's what you'd have to say. How many live service games have sold 5 million copies in 18 months and can't break 100K? How many games have done that? Sea of Thieves is probably the only dadgum one. Like I said, God of War is a single-player game, and it hit 75,000 its open weekend. It's a single-player game. And it has a higher player peak than Sea of Thieves. I wouldn't be saying any of this, by the way. If they wouldn't have said that sales number, 5 million on Steam, I wouldn't be saying any of this. You know what I'd be saying? Oh, most people are playing on Xbox. That's what I'd be saying. Yeah. I didn't even know that they released free content with Johnny Depp. That's also a big problem. I mean, you weren't paying attention, Abe. We covered it and we played it. It was one of our biggest streams. It was like one of our biggest streams. That was over on Presents. That was around the time we were getting ready to make the jump over here because the summer was really rough, and then Sea of Thieves was like huge for us over there. We covered it and played it. It was like one of the last times over on the other channel we had good stream numbers. Good to know you're paying attention, Abe. Those streams are all unlisted now. They're all gone. But yeah, before we moved over here, because we moved over here in September, we 100% covered it and streamed it, and it was a huge day for the channel. We thought, oh, this is really going to turn us around. We just need games to do stuff. We need big game news. I'm good, thanks. Monster Hunter Rise sold the first week or two, only 500,000 copies on Steam, and it already has double Sea of Thieves' highest all-time number for reference. Yeah, I mean, that's an established that's an established franchise. That's actually pretty good. That's actually not amazing sales numbers. Yeah, first couple of weeks, not even a million, 500,000. Yeah, that's actually not amazing in sales numbers, but the retention's very good. Again, that comparison's tough because an established franchise is most of that 500,000 in sales is to committed players, so it makes sense that a committed player base would have a better ratio of retention to sales, but still. This game doesn't respect the majority of people's times. People with jobs, families, commitments, and finite number of hours. It's the game that should get good, not us. I think that's well stated, Jaggy. Don't sit here and tell me the game's totally fine when it sold 5 million on Steam and it can't retain more than a 20,000 player peak. 15,896 players was their 24-hour peak in the last 24 hours. Their all-time peak is 66,000. Don't tell me the game's just fine, man. They're not retaining players. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. How well did Jedi Fallen Order sell? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, God of War has not... In the last 24 hours, God of War had a 29,000 player peak. 29,000. So in the last 24 hours, a single player game from the PlayStation has double the player count of Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves sold 5 million copies in 18 months. And God of War has been out for when did it come out? It came out on the... When did we play that? That was was it the 14th? But Sea of Thieves has been a top played game now for 4 years. But we're not talking about whether or not it's a top played game. You've already made that point. I don't care that it's a top played game. I care about... We're talking about retention, Paul. That's why I don't think you're landing on the landscape of my discussion. I am talking about retention. You're not talking about retention. You're just like, oh, but it's doing fine comparatively on Steam. I don't care about that. We're talking about retention. As an example, Paul, if I told you that I had sold 5 million memberships to my gym nationwide, and you looked at my retention numbers and they were really bad, would you just be like, well, you comparatively you're doing fine? No, you would say you have a problem. Your gym, your staff, your membership structure, whatever your equipment, you have a retention problem. You're not keeping people. It's great that you sold all these memberships, but nobody's coming back to the gym. So you're going to have to shut down all these, if I had locations like all across America or something. If you came in to analyze my business setup, you would say, you're not retaining any members. But you're a top 50 gym out of 10K in the world. It wouldn't matter. If you have a retention problem, you wouldn't take solace in comparing yourself to other people. Do you see what I'm saying? If you looked at your numbers and you said, yeah, we have terrible retention, you wouldn't lick your business wounds and say, oh, but comparatively, we're a top 50 gym. What do you mean? You're not retaining customers. I sold 5 million bags of coffee, but only 3 people are return customers. Those 3 people are dark roast drinkers, by the way. Yeah, exactly. If I had all this coffee inventory and I sold 5 million bags of coffee and only a teeny tiny percentage was coming back, I have a retention problem. So maybe my pricing is bad. Maybe my turnaround time is bad. Maybe my coffee's just bad, right? Any number of things. Gym is monthly recurring, so you're actually doing well. No, you're not landing on the analogy, Paw Patrols. If I said that I sold 5 million memberships and then a bunch of those people stopped coming back, meaning they canceled their memberships, I have a retention problem. I have a retention problem. I'm not getting people to come back. How do you think Sea of Thieves makes money? Compare Sea of Thieves to a 10-year-old game, Payday 2. Payday averages 30,000 players a day. Also, every 3 months you offer a free bag. Yeah, free content. They're giving content away for free in Sea of Thieves, and they can't retain good numbers on Steam. Come on. They have a retention problem. You can't just compare to other games and be like, oh, we're doing just fine. No, you need retention. How else are you supposed to make money? How are you supposed to make any money? Oh, sure, Abe. The gym banks on you buying and not coming back. Right. Maybe I picked a bad business analogy. I think the coffee sales makes more sense because, like, if I'm not getting people to come back and buy more coffee, I have a retention problem, which means I'm going to have a bunch of product on hand and I'm not going to make my money back. You guys don't know what the word retention means. Do you think companies are happy to just sell 5 million copies when their game is an ongoing live service game? Please, none of you ever get into business. You will bankrupt yourself. Yeah, retention is so important. Extremely important. I'll give you an example. So when I launched my graphic design business, I went after 2 years, I went into my invoicing program and I had amassed 120 clients. 120 unique clients. 40 of those clients were recurring clients that kept coming back. That was really good. 1 out of every 3rd client kept coming back and using me more regularly. Now, a lot of those clients that weren't coming back, they just needed me to do one thing. I just need a business card. Okay. I just need a logo. Okay. We don't have regular logo or graphic design needs. Yeah, no problem. So, 2/3 of the customers were one-offs. Now, if I had 120 clients in that client software, and I had like 2 people that kept coming back, and they were my friends, I have a retention problem. Either my work's not up to snuff, maybe my turnaround time was terrible, maybe I have bad customer service. Who knows? As a business, I'd have to analyze, like, man, oh man, 120 people used me for my services and then they never came back. 118 people never came back. What's going on here? Retention is incredibly important. Take World of Warcraft. It's having terrible retention issues right now. No one says, but World of Warcraft sold 20 million copies. Right. I'm just spitballing. I haven't played Sea of Thieves. Got to keep the chat spicy. Your kids' drawing should be NFTs. I've had people say that before. Yeah, Wheezy, I'm sorry, not Wheezy. Hilly just found some recommendeds. I love to kill noobs in the galleon with my sloop. That's a recommended person. Many hours spent on this game across different platforms. Never trust pirates. Plenty of nice players that you come across. However, toxic people are definitely a problem across the seas. Haven't encountered many recently, however. What all-time peak do you think it should have had? Well, it depends on when they hit the 5 million and how fast they hit the 5 million. I think that's an important question. They bragged about reaching 20 million users on a free-to-play game. Not recommended. Here's a review. Not recommended. What could have been a fantastic game for you to play with your friends or anyone for that matter is ruined by an overly toxic community of people who already know the game, have hundreds of hours, and live to prey on new people. The skies and water are beautiful and some of the best I've seen in any game, especially the water. Water is hard to do in video games. Much of the rest looks like low poly World of Warcraft. It's done in an artistic way though, so many will like it. Sometimes you can sail for an hour or so without being messed with. Sometimes you barely leave port before you will be assaulted by experienced players who already have learned the game. Either way, it's not, it's when. Yeah, either way, it's not if, it's when. And when it happens to you, yeah, you're going to stop playing. That's exactly right. Another huge reason Sea of Thieves isn't keeping players is because they continue to ignore huge issues with the game. Hit registration, glitches that literally sink your ship, unstable servers. Yeah, a lot of people brought that up today, Mac. They brought up the hit registration. PvP done wrong, not noob friendly. This person says they don't recommend. PvP done wrong, not noob friendly. Get good, scrubs. No, here's the thing, unlikely suspect. Nobody's getting good. They're just not playing. Look at the player base numbers on the Steam charts. They sold 5 million copies, and they can't even exceed 66,000 player peaks. 15,000 player peak in the last 24 hours. So, no, nobody's getting good. We're just not playing the dadgum game. Enjoy continuing to cannibalize the game with your attitude, though. I'm sure plenty of people will be playing it, you know. They couldn't even exceed their player base records when they gave away a free Pirates Life, Pirates of the Caribbean. They couldn't even do that. Couldn't even do that. Item shop. What's going on with my character in this game? I should wear something like classic that only an OG would have. I'll just equip this one because it looks like me. More reasons to make alliances in safe zones. I don't grief unless you're a Reaper, but I know. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously giving you a little bit of guff because people were coming in all day telling us that, like, get good, get good, good. It's just like, man, shut the frick up. Not you, but like, the way that people approach the conversation is just annoying. It's like, I don't need to get good. I just don't play. Would you like the Hyperscape news in game news or split screen? Yeah, just throw it somewhere other than live chat. I can check it out later, Sven. I've yet to play Sea of Thieves, and you know me, Lono, I love griefing, but the game still doesn't even interest me. I gotta ask all the people saying get good, what will you do when every battle turns into a sweat fest because of that mentality? When every person wants to not even see a sail on the horizon? Just a little cheeky. Yeah, you're fine. You took it in stride. Like I kind of clapped back and you took it in stride, which tells me that you know, you're not in here. You're not just trying to be a jerk. How long till drop die cast? About 9 minutes. I'm gonna go use the restroom. So, for those of you that don't know, we have a whole other channel called Split Screen, and it's dedicated to content creator drama, industry news, esports news, and we are going to be heading over there in a moment for a live stream. We'll be doing something called Drop Die Cast. 1720s wages, 2020 prices. That's a great review. We'll be doing Drop Die Cast. We'll be doing it in Fortnite today. There's also games that we will be doing like Apex Legends, Call of Duty, and that will be going on. Let's see. First episode of Drop Die Cast on Split Screen. Live. Give me that arrow. All right, give me a second. Sea of Thieves requires a competitive attitude and the investment in large chunks of time, yet it strongly appeals to casual players who are looking to relax. This results in friction between casual and competitive players who each have different expectations of the game. The different expectations create different perceptions. You've just encapsulated something I've said very, very many times. I've said that the game is the most juxtaposed game I have ever seen. The rewards and the incentives are very casual. It's basically pirate dress-up. I'm not being disparaging. I like the idea of playing a pirate dress-up game. Not only that, as you say, it appeals to casual players because of that. Like, ooh, cool, go be a pirate, dress up as a pirate, decorate your pirate, blah, blah, blah. The requirements, however, are incredibly hardcore. Even if there was no PvP at all, it's still a hardcore game, man. The grind's crazy. But That's why they have a winning formula that I think they're not cashing in on. The hobbyist player that always has something to do, grind towards, and work on in a game like Sea of Thieves will keep coming back and playing if the player has that sense of progress, satisfaction, and the mundane and the tedious is satisfying. And we have proof in the Steam player base numbers that people don't feel that way. Why? Because of exactly what you outlined. There is just enough of a presence of annoyance, frustration, PvP, even if they're not griefing, there's just enough of that to drive people away. So, because of that, I believe that the game is intrinsically, I believe it is intrinsically, dissonant, and I think it's kind of confusing to people because of that, personally. So I'm setting everything to random in Fortnite. I'm trying to get it to do random. It just keeps going back to the same person. Whatever. Okay, give me a second. We're going to switch gears to Drop Die Cast in just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the deal with Drop Die Cast. I cannot redirect you, okay? So, spicy subject today, really a lot of fun. If you've been hanging out and you enjoy my content and you want to support me or you want to see what my other channel's all about, okay? You're going to have to click the link in chat, okay? I don't have a way to bring you over. So yes, Drop Die Cast is live. It is live. I Can Cast Anything is an upload every Friday, but Drop Die Cast is a weekly live show on Thursdays. All right? So I am putting a link in chat, and that is where we are going, okay? I don't presently have a way to redirect you over there. That is a feature that is eventually coming, but I don't have it right now, okay? So we really want to see split screen just thrive and grow, and we think one of the ways that's going to happen is with the live stream. So we need folks to support Thursday afternoons, a live show, and Friday nights. All right? So make sure you're over there. Thank you, Paul. I'll send an announcement in the Discord, and I'll send a tweet as well. I will see you guys over there. It'll take me a second to get set up because I got to do the green screen. All right? I'll see you guys over there.